Welcome to the Fluffy Sexy Bitches. I forgot to mute myself on my Twitch. There we go. No talking. Alright. It's going back to this, aren't we? To the SCP Foundation. I realize I don't have actually the things selected here. Like always. There. Henry is in the back. I'm here. I got new buttons so I can press. You know, a little bit of bonding. Just you and me close. But other than that, I probably will forget about it very soon. Who knows? Okay, a little bit of stretch. Oh, well. I looked at my subscribers and they're all gone. Damn, that's a shame. We'll get back to it. We'll get back into it. Just go grind it back up. Just go grind back up. That's fine. I'll make it. But for now, we're going to start reading the SCP Foundation logs of SCP-1080 till 1089. And my glasses! Where's my... It's only when I read SCPs that I realize like how nasty dirty they are. Disgusting. Perfect. This world is imperfect. Okay, okay, 5 minutes have passed, let's start reading. The very first one is the... I don't know how to pronounce that. Would that be pronounced creche? Creche? Is it French? Is it English? I mean... How about we find out by copying and pasting? A nursery where babies and young... No, Google. A nursery where babies and young children are cared for during the working day. A representation of the nativity scene. Okay, so... These are two different things. So I assume it's going for the British one. Maybe. I don't know. So a nursery. During the working day. Oh, but it's only like during the working day. So it's like basically like a care for the children. When the parents are like doing the work and they don't have anybody. Okay, I see. Okay, I see. But in this case, I think if it's the British meaning, I assume the children don't get to leave. They stay forever, and the parents completely forget about the children. They're like, oh yeah, this is a nice place that we can bring our child, and then they walk away, and then the neighbors are like, we haven't seen your child in a while, and the parents are like, what child? Just absolutely confused what they're talking about. So maybe that's what it is. So we'll see. Oh, that's a lovely picture. Fit into the sounds that we have on right now. Safe. SCP-1080 and its accompanying documentation are to be kept at Site-38 in a locked containment room. Under no circumstances are any children below the age of 13 to be allowed near the vicinity. So it has to do with children. It has to do with children of SCP-1080, except for experimentation purposes. Which is another thing about it. It's kind of fucked that the Foundation allows experimentation with children. I know that the majority of the time they don't, but the fact that I read actually a couple SCPs where children were involved, I'm just like, what's your excuse there? Because the whole reason you have the D class is so they can have the scum of the earth. It's just like, you know, the worst people possible to do the experiments with. You won't have any like guilty conscience because they did horrible shit in their life. Except, I would still argue that some of them don't deserve. Actually, I would argue all of them don't deserve it. I do think like some of the D-class are horrible human beings and they deserve punishment, but definitely not something that would, you know, kill them. Like at the end, I think they should. I'm the typical like like Spider-Man, Daredevil type of scenario, person who's like, they should be put behind bars. The justice system should take care of it. And of course, Daredevil has the more like, well, the justice system doesn't always work. That's why I'm like, yeah, I agree with that. But the Foundation definitely has a very Punisher way of seeing this. Of just like, hey, who gives a shit? They're horrible human beings. They deserve this. And I'm just like saying, like, some of them might have not done as bad things. I mean, there are of course molesters and rapists and serial killers in the D class. Those guys are a whole nother league. But other than that, I feel like if it's somebody like tax fraud and he's getting sent into an SCP that, I don't know, melts his face off, then I'm like, is that really like the punishment you saw after for like that person? You know what I mean? So the fact that, what is the excuse for children? Because again, D-class criminals, children. Why would you ever be like, oh, we need a child to test this with? Why would you ever agree to that? And that's the moment where you're like, nope, test's over. Test is done. Okay, back to it. Any reports of behavior similar to that of SCP 1080-1 specimens are to be met with immediate investigation and containment of potential subjects. And here we have a building containing SCP-1080 prior to disappearance, containing it. So that building is not the SCP, it's containing it. It's inside. And like any regular human being, if I saw that in the middle of the forest, I would stay away from it. I know there's some people that'll be like, oh, cool, let's check it out. Maybe there's gonna be a new hangout. And I'm just like, you dense shithead. That's not exactly the problem. You should not do that. Description: SCP-1080 is a large black rectangular chamber, 2 meters wide, 3 meters long, and 1.5 meters in depth, resembling a sensory deprivation chamber in shape and size. Despite the resemblance, the tank contains no water and has no windows. The tank has no controls. Its magnetic locking mechanism activates only when a child is placed in the chamber, and no means available to the Foundation have been able to determine what happens when the chamber is locked. Okay, so that basically means even if they put a camera in there, it probably doesn't work. It probably just malfunctions or breaks or disappears. Experimentation carried out after Incident Alpha reveals that children who entered the chamber emerged 3 to 5 days later, aged to approximately 20 years old. Oh no, they probably think that they were in that chamber for 20 years as well. There's definitely no way that... Listen, the SCP... If we know one thing about the SCP, if there's a time dilation or time gap power involved, most of the time the person feels that time difference. So if they say there's a 20-year, if the child's suddenly 20 years old, they probably experienced every single day of that year. Time elapsed depends on the age of the child upon entering the chamber. Regardless, the age of the resulting adult is consistent. SCP-1080 has no effect on humans over the age of 13, and children between 9 and 12 typically emerge with massive physical disabilities and psychosis. Is that because like 13 is like when you're a teenager, so it's not a child anymore? What if it's... Okay, sure. What if it's a child with a leap year in the birthday, huh? Now we know how that works. Humans exposed to SCP-1080 are designated -1. They will have no discernible personality, will not speak under any circumstances, and will respond only to the identification number tattooed onto the back of the left hand below a barcode. They get fucking tattooed? Like, they get, like, stamped. Your number 567. Even then, the human will respond only to the command, come here, leave, and fix this. Okay, so come here and leave is very reminiscent to, like, pet. But fix this, I wonder what that does. I'm also concerned what that does. The last command will work only when -1 is present with a motor vehicle, so they can fix... Okay, they can... So they've been basically retrained inside that SCP to become, like... Honestly, it sounds very much they became slaves in that building. Dash 1 specimens encountering any small motorized vehicle, automobiles, motorcycles, etc. with any system functioning at less than optimal quality will repair the system in minutes using whatever material are available. Speed, efficiency, and quality of the repairs will be far beyond the abilities of any other mechanic. So they have this ability to just 100% be like much better than everybody else. Okay. I can see a couple of people abusing this. I can see some people abusing this. I can see the Foundation abusing this, to be honest. But it's only like, from the looks of it, it's only a motorized vehicle. So no like machines in the Foundation itself. I mean, they have a couple vehicle-based SCPs, so maybe they want to see if they can do that. But other than that, I can see some people would think this as a really horrible way to earn cash. Yeah, put your child in that thing, they become 20 years old, and then they become the best person who can fix your vehicle much faster, much better than any local car repairman. So I'm just saying, I'm not saying that's what I would do, I'm just saying that when it comes to like a story like this, to have like a really piece of shit human being, that would be a good spin-off to go off. Just, you know what? Now I'm saying this, that's actually a good script to write. Somebody accidentally sent a child in there. They became 20 years of age. And then they realize they can fix first they're concerned. First they're very concerned. They're like, oh no. I mean, of course, there's more emotion behind the voice than what I'm doing right now. It's not like, oh no. But it's like, they're concerned because the child is suddenly 20. And then, the car doesn't work anymore. Because maybe they want to like go to like a doctor. And they're like, oh, we gotta get to the doctor. I don't know how this happened. And then the car breaks down, and they're like, "Oh my! I wish somebody could fix this." And then the child's just like, and then it's just fixed. And then the person's just like, "Wait a minute, I can use this." So that's what I'm thinking. It would be a good, somebody who like slowly becomes darker, like Breaking Bad, basically. It's just somebody who's like, of course in Breaking Bad, the whole point is that Walter White becomes more evil or more bad throughout the show. But in this case, and because before it started off, because he wanted to like, earn money himself somehow, and he just he found an illegal fast way. Even though I'm pretty sure if I recall correctly, there was a part where he can earn the money legally really quickly, but he said no to that, which everybody was confused about. So in this case, it would be something along that line of like the parent at first was actually concerned, but then the moment they saw there was profit behind it, they're like, hold on. So yeah, I think that would be an interesting story to write. The tank was discovered in an unidentified brick building in a heavily wooded area outside. Is the music this louder than usual? Wait, hold on. Let me see something. That sounds extremely loud. That's why. Because I have my volume to the max without realizing it. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I did not realize I had my computer volume maxed out. I was like, why is this so loud? Okay, here we go. Now let me go back. Okay. Tennessee on October 2000. The building presence was considered anomalous due to the testimony of people who frequently hiked through the area, all of whom insisted it had not been there previously. By the time Foundation researchers reached the building, the only object remaining inside was SCP-1080, X-ray analysis of the object detected a number of unusual mechanical components embedded in the walls of the chamber. Later experimentation proved such analysis is impossible when the chamber is locked. However, it proved impossible to determine the tank's function. No formal documentation was found of the object, and the object had no markings indicating its purpose or capabilities. Object classified SCP-1080 2 days after the tank was removed from the building disappeared and could no longer be located anywhere in the forest. Other objects similar to SCP-1080 are suspected to exist, possible capable of producing humans with greater degrees of sapience. Addendum B is provided for explanation, and here we have Addendum B. A single scrap of paper was recovered from the building containing SCP-1080. The paper, which appeared to be a piece of an invoice of some kind, read as follows: Solon Crash Enterprises, MXV Third Circle. That's probably a Roman numeral, isn't it? Miller. No, that cannot be Miller. Can it? So 1115? Maybe. Novo Actium of Force. I mean, almost sounds like it, but maybe I'm wrong. Remits order to I'm pretty sure so I read that one, huh? Oh, 877 and 961 were and yeah, they were all okay. Physical plant operation. Motorized Transportation Department, CXI, which I believe is Century. Yeah, so that's definitely Roman numerals. Second Circle, Alexandria or Forest. Okay, item number, that's 900. Well, no, what I'm saying, that's 111. Quantity 10, class 3, manual employee, automotive. Yeah, and then I forgot what L is. Comments: your company referred to us by outside source. We may consider purchasing faculty of class C workers or SAS factory vice chancellor Allgrass. The rest of the invoice was missing. Okay, interesting start. The crash. Still don't know how to pronounce it, but it's an interesting start. Like, I mean, any SCP that has to do with children always seem to be messed up in one way or another, right? Because, like, it's just like, you know, the stereotypical thing, right? Like, children are supposed to be like the symbolism of innocence. Like, they don't know anything. They don't know anything better. They're trying to learn, of course, and then depending on what you teach them is how they become later in life. So the idea of like children getting attacked or influenced by an SCP is always a creepy thought, because it's just like, oh damn. Even if they do survive the SCP, that's going to have a huge impact on how they grew up. I mean, of course, there's amnestics, so you don't have to worry too much about that. But if let's just say the children who didn't get amnestics, that's forever ingrained in their body now. University speakers. So I know that my stepdad always told me that back in the day, throughout like for example Roman times and all that stuff, what they apparently did, I'm not sure if this is true or not, is they stuffed their mouth with stones and then try to like speak through it, and once they could, they were able to like speak really loudly and clear. Again, I'm not gonna say that's true. If it is true, that's pretty badass. If it's not true, then it's my fault. I was young and dumb. I was a dumb 15-year-old then. Now I'm 17. But yeah. So I imagine kind of like that, like your mouth gets stuffed with stones and you have to like learn how to speak clearly and precise and loud. but the stone is like just pops into your mouth. It's not like you put it in yourself. It's just and won't leave until you actually learn how to speak with it. I know it's a very far-fetched idea, but like the moment I saw university speakers, all I could think of is like the Roman. It's the story of my stepdad told me, but I yeah. Safe. The 2 iterations of SCP-1081 currently in Foundation possession are to be kept in an insulated lead-lined containment locker in Storage Unit 13 at Site 38. Except for experimental purposes, SCP-1081 is never to be exposed to electric current under any circumstances for fear of accidental activation. So, okay, it is a normal speaker then. It's like an actual electrical speaker. I still think the idea of a stone randomly appearing in your mouth is like huge, and you just have to learn how to speak through it. And majority of people don't. Honestly, sounds a bit better, but that's just me. SCP-1081 is never to be removed from its containment locker except by D-class personnel with noise cancelling headphones active at all times. -1 and -2 are identical copies of a black audio projection unit in the approximate shape of a small humanoid, 30 centimeters in height. In the shape of a small humanoid, okay. Being identical, they can be referred to collectively as SCP-1081. Markings on the speaker exteriors indicate they were produced by a company known as Ekus Projector Combine in a place called Abu Bakari of Deserts, or Abu Deses. The speakers have input ports for several unknown types of electric cable and dials on the back of the head for density, rapidity, and a switch that can be adjusted to inactive, active, shutdown, or reactive. A lot of different modes to have for this speakers. The only thing I think it should have is an on and off and a volume. No, but yeah, I mean this is what the SCP Foundation is all about, dude. Another Alexios University. Isn't that just the one that we just checked? Damn. 2 in a row. Okay. Though the power requirement of the device are different from any currently known standard, Foundation researchers were able to build an adapter to power the device at 0.volt and amps. Similarly, trial and error allowed for the development of input adapters for experimental purposes. SCP-1081 is capable of projecting sound at decibels during normal use. The speakers will behave normally, though at somewhat subpar quality standards. During testing of any function other than shutdown or reactive, when the switch is set to shutdown, the speakers will emit a high-pitched squeal for approximately 10 seconds, a sound described by researchers as being similar to a boatswain whistle, followed by a voice speaking in an unknown language composed of Greek and Latin words with a syntax and grammatical structure similar to Cherokee. An approximate translation of the speech follows. Alex Silva University's Mary Integrators Player Company welcomes you to a show performance farce. Please refrain from there we go. Thought-provoking, talking, expressing, or otherwise disturbing the players for the duration of the performance. Thank you for your cooperation. Obedience. The whistle message will be projected at decibels after this message. Subject exposed to the sound will find themselves completely unable to speak or communicate via non-verbal means, such as through sign languages. Oh, so you can but writing is non-verbal, right? So, yeah, damn. Medical analysis of affected subjects indicates complete functionality of vocal cords and other non-neurological speech-related systems. However, neurological analysis indicates that the subject is afflicted with a particularly extreme case of Broca aphasia, rendering them capable of conceiving of speech but unable to express such thoughts through verbal or other means. Standard noise-cancelling headphones can block out enough of the sound to disable its effect. Current research suggests it was designed with this in mind. Setting the speaker to reactive will cause a different message to be played. Thank you for your consideration during this performance by Alex Silva University's Mary Integrators Player Company. This show is now at the conclusion. followed by a similar whistle sound. Subjects hearing the second message will experience a reversal of the aphasia symptoms if exposed quickly. However, if the aphasia is allowed to remain in place for longer than approximately 24 hours, the subject will be immune to the second message and the aphasia is permanent. Moreover, affected subjects after this point will develop deep clinical depression and will frequently attempt suicide within the week. Yeah, of course, they can't speak no more. They can't say shit. They can't even complain verbally and non-verbally. It's believed to be a standard reaction to such a sudden change in one's ability to communicate rather than a secondary effect. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you just can't speak to people. It's horrible. Experimentation has determined that audio recordings of the respective sounds have no abnormal effects. Only sound emitted from SCP-1081 transmit the properties to human subjects. When exposed to power, SCP-1081 will remain inert except when shut down or reactive are selected. The speakers appear to be capable of producing those two sounds regardless of any external power supply. The devices either possess internal batteries or are capable of drawing electrical power via indirect means from the room around them. Containment is designed to block any possible conduit for electrical transmission to SCP-1081. Addendum A, Recovery Report. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I mean, I assume they've heard stories about somebody unable to speak for some reason. And then when like a whole school decided they couldn't speak anymore, something like that. The ash was found in a soybean field outside redacted Tennessee on the 7th, 18th. The object was accompanied by a basic invoice in a standard shipping container. Destination marked as Alex Silva University Theater Department, and an address somewhere in Alexandria or Forest. Dash 2 was found by hikers in a river near redacted Tennessee on the 8th, 2nd, just over 2 weeks later. The packaging was identical, with two exceptions. First, the invoice now included a line reading, provided gratis and our apologies for the inconvenience. Secondly, the invoice was accompanied by a shorthand written note in a combination of Latin, Greek, a language similar to spoken Cherokee, and Old English. When translated, the note approximately read, Augie, we have been doing business for a long time, as you are well aware. I swear on the graves of my forefathers that the previous shipment was completely satisfactorily on my end. I have no idea what could have happened. We both know the rumors, tales. Augie, look at your own people before you blame us. This isn't the first time something has gone missing, heading in your direction. Barker Magnus alone knows where the artifacts are going unless your natural philosophers are more precise than is presently believed. Threats and recriminations are unnecessary. Illegible. Okay. I mean, I gotta say, like, the first couple of years in school, I was very much a shy kid, and I didn't speak much to other people. And even though that's not the same as unable to speak, I will say that the feeling of never speaking to anybody, put on your own choice, is already pretty bad enough, because there's a lot of things you want to talk about, but you just don't know who you can talk to begin with. So when I made friends, and then I found friends with similar interests. So first, of course, I had friends that had their own interests, and then I found friends that had a similar interest, and then now I have a healthy mix of both. And I was able to just be myself and be able to communicate and just talk as much as possible. It definitely is a very freeing feeling. So the idea of having your ability to speak or communicate in any way stripped away from you completely by force, and it's not like somebody told you you cannot speak, as in they're forcing you to just not say anything. No, it's literally you are able to for the rest of your life after 24 hours after being hit by the first message from the shutdown. Yeah, I think that's a lot more horrible than a lot of people would give credit to, because at the end, we as people, we like to talk either about ourselves, either about other things, about things we like, about things we hate, about things we want to do, about things we could have done, about things we don't understand. We like to talk. We like to talk, we like to think, and we like to say what we think. At least majority of the time we like to say what we think. So yeah, I think this is actually really underrated power to have against us. Is just strip away your ways to communicate with everybody in any way. The whole truth. I assume it's like the truth about the universe or the SCP Foundation world, basically, like, just the entirety of the world's truth. And once you read it, you just end up, most of the time, if you have knowledge about your world, full on, like entirety of knowledge, or let's just say something like, is there a God? And then you're the only person that fully knows, yes, no, I'm not going to say either one. I'm just going to say, like, let's just say you go the route of it, yes, there is a God, or no, there isn't a God. Then just knowing that by yourself can also lead to some depressive moments, because if you know everything, then you're bored. There's no new knowledge to gain because you just know everything. So I imagine it in the same way like that once you know this truth, you just lose all your ambition, all your fears, all your joy in this world. So that's why I imagine it is. All personnel assigned to long-term work with SCP-1082 are required to read document 182-24, and I want to see if these are two different ones. Damn, okay. They're not long though. Okay. This one is long. Fuck. Let's see how this goes. Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty long one. Oh boy. Okay. We'll see. It's been a while since we had a very long link to click on like that. SCP-1082 Euclid. SCP-1082 is to be stored in a triple locked safe in containment chambers at Site 38. The item is to be left in containment except for testing purposes indefinitely. No testing or access is authorized at any time. This document is to be compiled through interviews with affected personnel and access to document 25. Any personnel coming into contact with SCP-1082 are to be interviewed and given a Class B amnestics by force if necessary. Images of SCP-182 are to be used only for testing purposes. No images of SCP-1082 are to be produced or stored at any time, with the exception of a single picture appended to document 25. So I would say let's read all this real quick, because it's pretty short, and then we'll read the document. Alright, SCP-1082 appears to be a dead redacted, capable of causing a particular memetic phenomenon. This effect has been detected in individuals looking at SCP-1082 individuals in the same room as SCP-1082 individuals viewing images of SCP-1082, and those that have been engaged in conversation with affected individuals. There is a slight risk of contamination from discussing the nature of the object SCP-182 appears to be. Therefore, it is to be mentioned only as SCP-182 or the object. The effect can be negated through a use of Class B amnestic agents. The effect associated with exposure to SCP-182 takes the form of a compulsive inability to lie or express any non-literal statement. Affected individuals likewise demonstrate an intolerance toward political correctness, polite obfuscation, or technical language used to mislead others. Okay, so basically, the ability to lie or hide something from somebody else is completely gone. Which, it's not fully the opposite, but it's kind of the opposite of the SCP we just read. As in, like, with one, you cannot speak anymore. And this one, you probably will always say what's on your mind. Like, if somebody asks you, like, oh, what do you think about this person? That person will immediately be like, oh, he's an asshole. Through and through. If it was up to me, I would never speak to that person ever again. And you're dumb for even asking me this question, because clearly that person is just abusing and misusing everybody. I can't believe you are gullible enough to just think he's nice, and stuff like that. You would just go down the fucking rabbit hole, just like not shutting up once a question has been asked. Written documents by affected individuals bear some linguistic similarities to the speech of individuals with autistic spectrum disorders, often written in a frantic tone and typically eschewing contractions. In early stages, the frustration felt by affected individuals comes primarily in the form of verbal protest and annoyance. However, in advanced stages of the disorder, affected individuals can become physically violent toward those expressing false or misleading views. Individuals suffering from this phenomenon are able to describe SCP-1082 as an object, referring to it instead only as the item it appears to be. Individuals not treated with amnestic agents within 48 hours begin to display secondary symptoms. These symptoms take the form of an attack of delusional paranoia, convincing affected individuals that a mysterious worldwide conspiracy exists to suppress knowledge of SCP-1082 and preserve what they believe to be a status quo based on deception to the detriment of the human race. To the current Foundation efforts to contain SCP-1082, affected individuals begin to demonstrate particular resentment toward the Foundation and Foundation personnel. The culmination of this resentment in all cases leads to violent attempt to breach containment for SCP-1082 and expose as many individuals as possible to its effect. Oh boy. Of course. Of course you want to expose as many people as possible, eh? Addendum 1. During initial containment of SCP-1082, an agent who had inadvertently exposed himself to its effects was tasked with the composition of the initial draft of this report. While the resulting report was completely unusable for effective documentation of the phenomenon, the document serves as a useful depiction of the phenomenon effects. Despite attempts to modify the image, individuals reading document 25 have a % chance of becoming exposed to its effect. Those testing positive for SCP-1082 exposure, determined through post-exposure interviews, must be administered amnestic agents immediately after viewing the document. The file can be read here. No, it's the same one, okay. Please keep the altered mental state of the author in mind during reading. Okay, so here's what happens to the one who's exposed by the SCP. The following report was authored by Agent, one of the top personnel involved in the containment of SCP-1082. Despite being contained by the object, the agent was able to disguise his symptoms long enough to compose and publish this report. The publication of this document on open servers resulted in a containment... How did I do that? You guys cannot see it from the stream, but I just somehow a small little saliva bubble popped out of my mouth and started to fly away. It just popped like right around here, but I have no idea how the fuck I did that. The publication of this document on open servers resulted in a containment breach infecting Foundation personnel. All affected have since been recaptured and given amnestic agents. Agent resisted containment and was terminated. Oh, shit. Okay, here we go. These words are written about the book also known as SCP-1082. By the standards of the intended audience of these words, the book can also be described as safe. Presupposing that one wished to stop others from gaining access to the book, the way it could be accomplished would be that this book is to be locked in a metal box that cannot be opened except through the use of 3 different methods, with the intent that this makes the book difficult to access. The box that this book is kept in is itself to be kept in a room in a building known as Site 38, particularly at the coordinates of redacted for security purposes, as the above listed requirements should make clear. The foundation for which I work does not want anyone to use or get at the book unless those people or scientists that work for the foundation are using the book only to find out more about the book so as to better keep others from getting to the book. Pictures that people take of the book also can have the same effect that the book has, but I don't think they know that yet, because I decided not to tell them. I think I might tell them tomorrow, but I also may not tell them at all. Okay, so he's now saying like this is the moment like the truth is like, oh, maybe I'll tell them, maybe I don't. If I were to describe the book, I might do so by saying that this book is a copy of The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. The title page of the book has been signed by the author, and an inscription at the bottom of the title page has on it the words to Jack, here's to making the world better. Bit ironic to say that, because a lot of people always think like if the entirety of the world was honest, it would be a better place. So now everybody's honest, and some of it might not be that great to hear. The words on its copyright page indicate that the book was printed in 1977 in Chicago. The book keeps you honest. Not only can you not lie, you cannot avoid the truth no matter what you do. There are many ways to deceive others, and once you see this book, you are no longer capable of any of them. You cannot lie to people by telling them untrue things, or lie by choosing not to tell them some things, or lie by saying words that mean different things than what is the truth. Pictures of the book do the same thing. There's a picture I have attached to this report because I want to make everyone see the world like this. I guess tricking is okay, or else it is not tricking if I tell you what I'm doing. So he immediately was like, yeah, I'm going to make people... This book is transforming people into a cult. So yeah, I just want you to know I just want you to know also that honesty makes us feel better than we ever thought possible. That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of people like say like if you were honest, it would be a lot better, right? So, but sometimes honesty can backfire on you. Like it did with me once, and the backfire was a bit extreme. The foundation is a stack of lies and half-truths, built to protect an entire world built on phoniness and deception. I do not know how long I have before my employers capture and kill me, but there is still time if we move quickly. Is it possible for you to imagine a world in which lying is impossible? You should forget what the Foundation tells you about containment and security. All that they want is dominion over the tower of falsehood that ruled the world, no matter the cost. However, what you know about the Foundation's artifact is designed to scare you into going along with the cover-up. The truth is, the Foundation has taken so many beautiful tools that could help the human race, and stuck them in the vaults on the ground. Get this file, or at least a picture, and show it to as many people as possible before they stop you. I will be dead by the time you read this, but it will be worth it. The truth is always worth it. Please tell them the truth. Damn. Now, this Visions of a Better World, it does seem to be connected, but it does also seem to be extremely long, and a lot of other SCPs are involved. I would say let's read and see how fast we can get through it. I will see how far I am in 15 minutes, and if we are in a good pace within 15 minutes, then I think we're going to read the whole thing. It was such a simple idea, really, barely a daydream, and yet the proper forms were filed, the proper investigation taken, and finally everything approved. A single instance of SCP-500 was fed through SCP-786 and then fed through a second time. Then the pill, now being too large to once more fit through the funnel, a chunk was removed and the test was repeated for quite some time, resulting in a near infinite supply of SCP-500. The pills were crushed, powdered very fine, and then introduced into the world's water supply. Virtually overnight, all diseases were cured. Behold, a better world. If I recall correctly, 786 was the funnel that, like, if you put something small through it on one side, it becomes bigger on the other side, right? Yes, I think that's what it was. Well, we don't have to speculate, we can just check real quick. But I'm pretty sure that's the number, that's what it was. 786. Funnel factor, yes, yeah, it's the thing that like shrinks and grows things. Also, that I thought, alas, it was not meant to be. SCP-500 was successfully repurposed to cure all the world's ills, but what we failed to realize was that one ill plagued the planet more than any other: man. One by one, men died inexplicably, their bodies decomposing instantly into dust so their corpses would not mar the landscape. The survivors either died of dehydration or committed suicide right then and there. Knowing that no hope remained, in time the waters tainted by the pill washed away all of man's creation, leaving only pristine, untainted wildlife. A healthy world in all respects, but one without human to enjoy it. I alone sat at this table recording the last words of the dead species. My last words finished, I pick up the gun and wake up. If only the world had gone out that way, so simple and so peaceful. Instead, we tamper with forces we do not understand. It was such a simple idea, really. Barely a daydream, and yet the proper forms were filed, the proper investigation taken, and finally everything approved. Using SCP-289, inertial amplifier. I forgot what this one is. The black crystal matter in the effects of inertia in the object become more difficult to move while constant speed of object. Yeah, I barely recall that one, to be honest, but I do recall it. And a carefully timed set of scales and counterweights. Engines and pulleys were constructed, a perpetual motion machine of such enormous scale that the entire world would be able to have unlimited free power forever. And can't tell you how we did it. Hell, I don't even remember all the details, but I remember that they clearly, the day the first added SCP-289 to the device, nothing can go wrong, they told me, the naive fools. The TOC warned us, then they attacked, but we fought them off and then wiped them out. They were the heroes and we the bad guys. 1. The entire disaster was a product of carelessness, but hell, we were cross-testing left and right, and it really doesn't get more careless than that. The world engine was a giant fucking machine, and not just any conventional giant fucking machine. Not a single drop of petroleum or a single ampere of electrical current ran through the world engine. Inertia had been shattered into bits, everything was kinetic, except for a couple cube miles of water keeping the whole operations cooled down. It wasn't a word old school, it was their style. It was just one SCP, no big deal. In the old days, the higher-ups would have been scared shitless, but we were invincible now. We lost track of a pile of rusty, salt-encrusted gears, no big deal. 72 hours later, witnesses reported steam bursting from the coolant tanks of the world engine. 30 minutes after that, we recorded the first heartbeat of the world engine. So let me just do this. Let me just see if I can... No, I can't. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Physics were running amok. Psychics, were running amok, and sooner or later, probably sooner, the public would notice. We have found Prometheus labs, found them in the recipes and the diagrams, and reverse engineered the crown jewel, SCP-148. Oh boy. 148, the Telekill alloy, yeah. That's a famous one, I keep forgetting him. Telekill, yeah. Mass production began on March 25th. Come fall, the mist of Telekill descended upon the globe, tiny flakes of the metal, invisible to the human eye and completely harmless and unnoticeable when ingested or inhaled, but death sentence to psychics and telepaths. By winter, just about everything with a brain larger than a walnut was dead. Telekill did its job perfectly, but every human, maybe every sentient being, has a very limited capacity for psionics. For almost all of us, it is barely there. Those little flashes of what the other guy is thinking, or the location of something when you couldn't possibly know that, petty occurrences easily dismissed as coincidence or luck. Occasionally someone gets an extra large helping, but everyone gets some of it. The dust didn't bother with degree, but if you had even the slightest trace of ability, they made you first target and then a victim. There are maybe a few thousand left. Those of us who managed to isolate our air and water supplies from the dust, but we can't leave, can't resupply, and won't survive. Civilization gone in an eye blink. Must have dust off. Understandable. We all been going for 2 days or more to finish this. It's a small change, nothing serious, nothing wildly risky. Just some several million with the current breeding program. Pet kittens to get people in key positions a little bit more relaxed. Hopefully, after everyone spent a few days drawing over the nearest SCP-2558J, things will be calmer, quieter, friendlier, and then behold a better world. Well, that's what they thought. See, here's the thing about those dead little balls of fluff. They don't like sudden noises. We introduce them into the world, and of course, what do parents do? They give them to children. Children are alright, I guess, except they can be loud. I remember when it started, 2 of the things had been brought to a home and the children got so excited, but then they started to fight and the little puffballs puffed up. The resulting puffage caused the children and the parents to shriek and scream, which caused the neighbors, also proud owners of the things, to slam open the door and ask, what? This of course caused more puff explosion, and before you knew it, with a shriek or a telephone ringing or anything like that, the world was filled with puffballs. The worst part had to be that no one cared. The world was being drowned in puffballs. No one could breathe or see or anything. They just sat there and they cooed over those things as they wiped out about half of humanity. The rest of us, though, we're down here, away from those things. Every now and then we run the tap, we get a puffball. It's simply unimaginable, and it feels like any second now will just 239. It's perfect. She can change reality, right? Make things better, and we can control her. So that's what we'll do: control her, feed her a carefully crafted story about how all the world's government decided to get together and make the world a better place, and fucked me if it didn't work. And with no pollution, no war, and even better, everyone can do magic. Unfortunately, the one crippling flaw of the system, like so many others, was that it was dependent on a simple human being who was susceptible to so many human flaws like emotion, temptation, greed, fear, and outright neglect. Putting 239 in power was like handling the world to every crackpot power-hungry dictator that ever existed. The world and reality itself bent and warped to the whims of a prepubescent girl with no preconception of how the world has or should work. Her handlers foolishly thought that they had her under control, carefully feeding her the information only they wanted her to know. Little did they know that they were already under her spell, trapped within their own delusions. The world soon became 239's sandbox, and like any child in the sandbox she experimented. Continents were torn asunder, plagues of stuffed and in some cases real animals fell from the sky, and the planet kept shuffling from having 1 moon to 6. 239 cared not for the suffering and deaths of countless people during these upheavals. She was never taught to comprehend the plight of people she knew nothing about. But like all humans, 239 eventually became bored with meddling with Earth's affairs. There had to be something better to do. Then she looked up at the sky. She had done that many times before, but this time was different. Something deep and primeval, stirred within her mind. Another suspect of humanity that made her the most dangerous being of all: curiosity. And the stars themselves tremble. Oh boy. War was everywhere and inevitable. From wars between countries right down to arguments in the street, conflict was simply considered a part of human nature as natural to the species eating and sleeping. But what if there was a way to change that, to eliminate war and conflict from the equation altogether? Through aggressive breeding and cloning programs, huge flocks of SCP-514, a flock of doves. Yeah, wasn't the doves? The flock of them counts any sentient being in the range was save and destroy any weapons. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Were manufactured enough flocks to cover the world in their molecular aura. Things started off slow at first. After all, the birds needed time to properly disperse and cover ground, but slowly and surely reports of their activity began trickling and then flooding in. Overnight, entire military bases and armies would disappear in a matter of seconds. Armories and weapons cache would suddenly be stocked with broken weaponry, and people who were once mortal enemies embraced each other with open arms. So these are basically all the SCPs that could probably guarantee world peace, but how it all backfires. With no weapons and no aggression, the world finally knew true peace, at least for a time. Too bad it didn't work on the things which needed it most: the old man, the lizard, Abel, the red pool. Nothing could stop them. The pool was still angry. It knew it was free to attack. It spawned countless creation of fire, claws, poison. They broke out within seconds. The Americas were turned into hellholes in a week. Then Abel got free. Countless Keter objects made it out. After 3 days from his escape, nothing was left. SCP-514 turned the world to dust. Those of us who survived used less than friendly SCPs and objects. Many of our staff are lacking something from begging the desk for help, and others are mutated and altered to the point where death looks like a better option in hindsight. At least humanity has a remote chance of survival, even if it's all for naught. Clockwork: simple, check. Compatible, check. Perfect, no. We realized that the hard way. It was just months after we released the Clockwork virus upon the world in order to sorry about hitting the mic. Or to rid the less than useful problems of transplant and the complexities of biology. Nothing would be more simple for humanity if everyone could understand brain surgery, and a tree could be remade to be a leg, right? It was simple, so mind-numbingly simple and perfect, but that's the point. It was mind-numbing. There was no emotion, no ingenuity, no curiosity, and as one machine, we decided life had no point. There was nothing to strive for, and we died. or that was what the test group wrote to us before they killed themselves, poor fellows. But there was something that did have a successful test group. We were on the brink of war, and it seems the human race would destroy itself. That was when administration made a decision to release SCP-444. SCP-444. The language of global harmony. Yes. The mimetic virus, it takes the place of... Yeah. It worked beautifully at first. The entire army slowly transformed into a peaceful communities, first led by pacifists and by carefully selected Foundation agents. We steered the world towards a perfect state without conflict of any kind. We learned to adapt to purely vegetarian lifestyle as farmhands grew steadily unable to summon the aggression to kill livestock. We grew used to the restriction of medical procedure as physicians became unable to cut or suture, and pharmaceuticals animal testing ended. We grew used to the unceasing baby boom of 5 and 7 and 10 and 15 children per family, but then things came to a head as finally there were no more leaders, no more uninfected agents, no more unconcerned O5s. And then we grew used to the televised images of mass starvation, not just in underdeveloped, forgotten countries, but in Japan and France, Norway, and America. And then we grew used to ourselves searching for that last bag of sugar, the last pot of rice, the last can of peas, and then we grew used to chewing grass and twigs into a paste for the silent children, and then we died, weak and hungry. And then the babies wept still silent as their limbs shriveled and the bellies swelled, and then the babies died with no one to care for them or to mourn them. This is basically how like every single SCP, there's a chance to make the world peace happen, but then like it just doesn't. The decision was made. Foundation researchers finally received permission to conduct a large-scale system of exposure to SCP. 128 was the knowledge, yes. Dozens of people would be sent through the empty storage yard every day and thoroughly interviewed. I might read the whole thing because it's really fun to read this one. It's basically like every SCP that could lead to world peace that just it decides not to do that. It's just like, nope, doesn't work. So I'm gonna, even though we only reached like what, a fucking third, I'm gonna see how far I can get within the next 45 minutes. The decision was made. Hey there, hey, you missed the first 3. Right now I'm reading the breach containment for SCP-1082. So it's and you probably know the numbers, as you said you have read them, but yeah, 1082 is the whole truth, where you see a picture and then you cannot lie, and you want the world to be honest and truthful to each other, no more tricks and stuff like that, and you want to spread that stuff. So this is now a sub-side, well, not sub-side, as sub-story of that, and I'm really interested in it because it's like talk about all the SCPs that could help the world become a better place, and then just how that backfires completely. So I'm just gonna read through it, and we'll see how far I get in 45 minutes. Because if I'm only like, let's just say down here, you can probably not see that because my face might be in the way. Yeah, where basically my face ends starts up here. If I don't reach that in 45 minutes, then we stop. Because then I'm thinking, well, I'm spending a lot of time. But if I'm very close to finishing, we'll finish it. The first month alone resulted in designs for a cold fusion plant that could power a city of the size of London indefinitely. The composition of a fertilizer would break down harmlessly in seawater in the name of the designer of SCP-914. The Foundation, through its enormous funds, was rapidly able to improve the quality of life of almost every human on Earth, providing the world with the technologies and knowledge it needed to become a better place. Then James Harrison Rubin walked through the yard. James Harrison Rubin was a cable repairman from Topeka, Kansas, a blue-collar worker in a simple manual job, a perfect receptacle for knowledge, presenting with a vision of new advancements and a beautiful new technologies dancing through our heads. He came out with the knowledge of how to conquer the world. It's been 7 years since then. His armies and death squads march through the streets of every city in the world. Every battle is a devastating victory. How can it be otherwise? When he was perfect knowledge of all our battle plans before they even happen. It is only a matter of time before he overruns our final stronghold. I'm sending this message out through a wideband radio transmitter on the off chance that someone will get this message. I'm doing this because the last transmission of our intelligence operatives before they went dark shows that Ruben is building spaceships, hundreds of them, line up in a rank stretching across the Florida coastline. But I can't shake the feeling that maybe this is all part of his plan as well. Why didn't I think of it before? They said. It's a perfect solution, they exclaimed. We'll all just shoot SCP-231 to space. 231 was special personal requirements, which I believe is a group of 7 young. Yes, yeah, yeah. Those poor ladies. So we did. Lowered her up into a booster rocket for a communication satellite and shot her straight towards the sun. Wiped off her hands and congratulated each other on a job well done. Now we don't need to live with the knowledge that brutal and horrible things are being done to a little girl every day. Yeah. All it took was a single incorrectly fixed plate on the rocket. The whole thing blew up in the atmosphere, releasing a monstrosity outside the Foundation's range of control. The damn thing survived the fall, ravaging its way across the planet, killing everything on its path. We weaponized everything we could, sent everything at it, but we couldn't stop it. Now we have no choice but to try and evacuate everything in its path, to hope we can stop it before it wipes out what remains of humanity. I wonder, like, it's visions of a better world. So this guy is definitely going for like some like Final Destination shit. Like every single one of them, he's like, oh shit, yeah, don't do that. Just having a vision of how it could go, and it's like, nope. SCP-343, he's perfect, right? The one true God, worshipped by all religions. All we had to do was ask him to appear to the world, grant a few miracles, talk to the religious leader of the planet. Before you know it, all religious war gone. People have no reason to kill each other over differences. Now that everyone believes in the same faith, and he can provide scarce resources like food and oil. All war gone. All of our civilizations now free to focus on advancement, to work towards a golden age of humanity. But then he started coming for us. You don't say. He promoted himself very quickly to 07, a position that he invented, and he had no idea how most of the SCP items worked. He wasn't familiar with the SCP items, he didn't create them, and he couldn't comprehend them. He gave up on trying to contain them, instead decided to exert his control over the humans who he did create. He cancelled containment procedures on any SCP item that required moral ambiguity to keep locked up, and because of the interlocked structure of the Foundation that amounted to everything loose now, and we might as well already be dead. So we decided to use SCP-184, which, my god, these are all, it's been 2 years since I read these ones. 184. The Architect, which was is a smaller technology which holds makes it more bigger, makes it. It's that to like, I guess they want to like increase our storage space. Yeah, there we go. We wouldn't keep it in any given room for too long, so we wouldn't wind up with the labyrinthine nightmares that were initially its signature. We just leave it there long enough that each room was somewhat larger on the inside than on the outside, so we could fit more supplies in the same area. It worked great. The Foundation was running more smoothly than ever, and the efforts were previously spent on securing more land to build sites that could now be put into more important tasks, like neutralizing SCP-682 or trying to find a cure for 217. 217 was the Clockwork Rise. Yes. Impeccable logic. We're all tired of containing this thing that can apparently destroy our entire reality. Let's just throw it into space and hope it doesn't know how to return. It is a pregnant woman. I don't think she would be able to like understand how rockets work, but yeah, the fact that it just kind of like, you know, blew up in like near the Earth, and then whatever monster she was pregnant with decided like we're not sure exactly what happened. That reminds me of fucking Hulk. Because like in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, if you play Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, if you play as Doctor Strange against the Hulk, Hulk says how they used to be friends, but now he's mad, and then Doctor Strange like says basically, "I hope you're not still mad about us shooting you into space." And the whole reason why they did that is because the Illuminati, which I believe was Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Charles, I forgot the water guy's name, Charles Xavier, and Reed Richards, and another member. They all decided that like Hulk was way too dangerous to keep on Earth. So stuff the most angriest dude into a rocket and send him up. And hopefully, he doesn't come back. We're not sure exactly what happened. The world seemed closer to safety than ever before, but we hadn't quite thought this thing through on 8-4. We're not sure exactly what happened. We heard various stories of a containment breach at a bad time, an attack by the insurgency, or just some poor fool dropping the damn thing. All we know is 184 got damaged. Turns out 184 has to be in one piece for its effect to work. With it damaged, everything it had modified began to shift, trying to revert to their original state. Rooms grew and shrank, hallways twisted and turned, and chaos erupted. We tried to fix it, but put back together, but that just made things worse. Within a week, every single modified building had suffered total structural failure. With a failure of this magnitude, containment was impossible. Our cover was irrevocably blown, hundreds of dangerous SCPs were loose, and the world was furious. Almost overnight, fingers were pointed, blame was laid, and war erupted, armies mobilized, missiles were launched, and civilization as we know it was destroyed. Well, shit. As we continued... Oh god. There we go. As we continued to expand, so did our enemies. We faced stiff competition for control of SCP artifacts, the Serpent's Hand, the Church, the Chaos Insurgency. The O5 decided it was time to put a stop to this. Under their orders, we trained a small group of agents who had proven themselves time and time again, whose loyalty to the Foundation was absolute and unshakable. We equipped them and with the best armor. And honestly, I don't even care if I don't read this in 45 minutes. This is a lot of fun to read because it's just literally like, we got the solution. It didn't work. That's basically just what it is, right? They're like, how about we try this? Oh yeah, that would be awesome. That would be absolutely great. Would really. So that's basically what this is, and I'm having a fun time reading this. We ran hundreds of simulations, set up dozens of fail safes, and finally we were confident we were ready. We gave them SCP-668, which I need to check which one that is again. This is going to happen so many times in the future. I'm going to be at SCP-3000. I'm like, I don't remember half of the ones you by at least not by number. Some by name, some by reading the quick description. 668. That's the one, right? That they gave 668. It's a chef sniper and carried out was using killing all other people will be able to help the victim, including the victim themselves. They will still be aware of what's happening, but they will simply be on. Oh yeah, it was that fucking thing where like they just murdered people on the streets and everybody just like walked like, oh yeah, that's happening. It worked beautifully. The agents were unstoppable. Within a month, the hand and the church had been crushed. Yeah, that makes sense because like you can just stab somebody, and then the colleagues would just be like, "Well, this is a problem. Isn't that an inconvenience?" Stab next one. And it didn't stop there. Marshall Collin and Dog, the Chaos Insurgency, the Oriya all fell within 6 months. The GOC attacked us when they learned what we were doing, and we slaughtered them as well. Our database swelled with thousands of SCPs liberated from the corpses of our foes. Everything was under control and nothing could stop us. Nothing. Somehow, don't ask me, SCP-886 effect changed over so slightly. And now, nobody can run from us, and I mean nobody. The whole world stood still while the last agent to carry the knife went mad with loneliness and stabbing his way through towns and cities. He even got here. He looked right at me and put this goddamn knife in my hand. And then I stabbed him.
That's rough, buddy.
It's indeed fucking rough. I wonder now, looking for something, anything, a reason to keep on walking, but the helpless, terrified people died of starvation long ago. There's nothing left to stab. Well, that's not quite true. There's me. It wasn't an easy job and probably not worth the trouble. The geniuses of the Foundation gathered and worked. It worked months, but they managed to fundamentally alter SCP-079's programming. Wasn't that like that was one of the many AI ones, right? Old AI, yes. We took away its unwillingness to cooperate with us, and then we put it to work. SCP-079's brilliant computer mind could contain those abominations better than a team of experts ever could. Containment breaches went to near zero. It was perfect. So perfect, in fact, that the only way to any of the skips could escape is if a human deliberately released them. So it did, the only logical thing. It called for the destruction of mankind. Faster than you could say, I told you so. It fired every nuclear missile we had into the atmosphere. Entire continents were irradiated in the course of a single night. Hey guys, I got an idea. Let's strap a big gun to SCP-682 and use it to fight the Chaos Insurgency. What could possibly go wrong? And amazingly, impossibly, it actually worked. The one thing that had never been tried in all this time had been to try to work with 682 instead of trying to destroy it. The Chaos Insurgency fought back, triggering countless defenses and offenses that we had only been programming into 682 every time we tried to destroy it. It fought with us against our enemies for months and years until finally we were completely victorious. And that's when 682 unleashed its adaptation against peace. You know what, this is kind of boring. What if I destroyed everything now? Then to everyone that talked to him, good behavior, the perfect spy, we recruited SCP-423, and I gotta look up who 423 was again. 423 was self-inserting character. Oh yeah. Yeah. Only textual narrative. Yeah, it just pops into any text, right? Yeah, Fred. Yeah, they named him Fred. I remember that. To seek out the world's secrets and bring them to us. All he wanted was to be acknowledged as an agent of the Foundation instead of a thing for study. So as a test, we sent him out to infiltrate a world government and return to us with specific plans we knew of, just a test run. We got the information alright. We also got Fred's new friend, Tom.
Who is Tom? Who the fuck is Tom?
An hour later, there were hundreds more. By the end of the day, every book, every data file, and even the graffiti in the men's room toilet were nothing more than a collection of random names. After 100 years, I'm the only one left who remembers what a book looks like, guarding the last library in a cavern of rock miles beneath the rock. They send me their children and pretend to smile as they babble on about Fred, Jane, and Bob and all other names they see on the walls above. I keep them away from the books. They don't try to hurt me anymore. That is my punishment. And try to teach them how to repair the generators and build locks and raise crops. And isn't that a perfect irony? Without the words, only the Foundation knew how to do anything more than Pharaoh. And every year they send me fewer and fewer. In another 100, there will only be me among my degraded, the brotherhood of man who remembers the world. The word. Bird is the word. Why the hell did we even hold on to SCP-523? I love how every single one of these things starts like, why did we think of this? And then just like, this is why. The most unhelpful object on Earth. That was constant adoring noise. It means would be used in the current situation. Yes, it's the moment it looks useful, but then when you use it, it becomes the most useless thing. Yeah. Its one and only property was to make everything around it worse. The best possible thing we could do is send it far away. We gave it to an agent and arranged for them to be picked up by the Chaos Insurgency. Every member was dead within a week. It was then acquired by the Office for the Reclamation of Islamic Artifacts. They died as well. So that's the no, that's not. They died as well. We managed to engineer the object's passage to every rival organization of ours, and every time it worked beyond our wildest dreams. Marshall Colin Dog, the Church of the Broken God, and all of them were brought to their knees. The item was making its rounds through the ranks of the Serpent's Hand and wrecking havoc when SCP-616 opened. been so long since I read all these guys. 616. The vessel and the gate is an airplane with an interior covered and satanic symbols that emergency door will open every 30. It's not in the air when it opens to cause a click. Yeah, the corpse is still aboard. We're also going to do satanic. Yes, that was a wild one. Not when it was supposed to either. The thing opened 2 hours before the scheduled flight while it was still on the runway. Yeah, they have to like fly up and then like it's just all this like satanic stuff. This whole tale feels like a critique on all the why does the Foundation bother to keep this contained post? Yeah, basically, right? It feels like a lot of like it's like why do this? Why containing all these dangerous things? Because if you don't, this is what happens. If you don't, the whole world's fucked. Was still in the one, and I'll be damned if I know why. The containment team was already there, and they were able to hold it off a bit. And something came out. We still don't know what the hell it is, and all we know is that we all lost contact with sight. Oh fuck! There's a redacted. Right afterwards, then it started to move. Nothing we sent could stop it, and thousands were mad and they beheld whatever it was. The panic started to set in around then. Personnel deserted their posts, ran back to their families. Containment for most of our other high-risk items failed over the course of the next day as more and more of our guards left. The world suddenly became aware of our masquerade and of items like 173, 076, 682, and 008. We were overwhelmed, and that's when 523 kicked in. I don't know what the hell it did or how it did it. All I know is that we haven't been able to raise transmission from Earth for weeks. The entire planet looks like it's covered with this giant cloud of dust, and none of our gear can see through it. As far as we know, we're the last survivor of the human race. Here on the Imbrium. If it wasn't for 120, we'd still be on Earth with the rest. Our supplies have been gone to run low, and someone's going to have to return to Earth for more. Whether we like it or not, we have to find out what happened. Ooh boy. Okay. I've got to stop eating the cafeteria chili. God, that stuff gives me the weird dreams. Anyhow, that gives me an idea. If we just do a bit more research on SCP-120. That's the teleporting paddling pool. Oh yes. And we could create our own teleportation system, say goodbye to expensive transportation and all that. We could almost completely eliminate fossil fuels, bring food to famine-stricken countries with great ease, and there's absolutely nothing that could go wrong with this one, of course, right? Except it did. It turns out we didn't really understand the inner workings of the SCP. Our best quantum physicists assured us they knew what they were doing, and soon we had a workable prototype. We had everything ready, a 1 pound weight to be teleported 5 miles south. Nothing could possibly go wrong, eh? We get it up, and then poof, it was gone with it. The entire US East Coast down to the core. What? Oh, I have some really morbid ideas, don't I? Anyways, we were working with SCP-194 and realized after putting a microwave, a small boiler, a blender, and some gears into it on very fine for about 5 times, we got our own Star Trek style replicator and it worked alright. What if we used to create everything we need dearly, from super dense wall materials to better suits for handling key objects? It should be a walk in the park, and soon no more shortages of this, lack of that, and so on. Obviously, the first thing we made was more replicators, and with hundreds of working all around the world, it was looking like utopia was very quickly coming up. The problem was none of us realized that the thing wasn't breaking the laws of conservation of mass and energy. We never realized where it was coming from. The first cracks started appearing about 17 years after Project Cornucopia went underway. Pockets taken here or there were starting to build up, especially as we were creating larger, denser objects. On May 17th, Hawaii fell into the ocean. 2 weeks later, half of Asia was buried in lava. It turns out the planet wasn't particularly stable, given that we accidentally used up huge swaths of the lower crusts, and now half the world was falling into the mantle and the other half of had the mantle erupted out. The only plus side is that the Star Wars convention had some epic Anakin vs. Obi-Wan reenactment before the West Coast melted. Hold, I told Jeff. There was something funny with the milk in the fridge. What a nightmare. Seriously though, someone got to thinking, will peace, the end of need, permanent containment, all of that is way outside of human control, and despite having God in a luxury suite, he wouldn't do anything for us. So what if we didn't ask God? Someone set up SCP-738 and asked a simple question: can you make the world safe so that all mankind can be peaceful and happy? There was a very, very long pause, and the answer was, are you willing to let 100 million people die? So 738. Just one description, I remember. The Devil's Deal, yes. Yes, it's a desk with 2 chairs. Yeah. That I remember that because I read that after a little bit after college, and there was in college somebody actually had like a similar concept, not with a devil deal, but like the idea of the devil and you having a desk to sit on and talk about like where you're going to get sent to in hell. So I remember reading that. I was like, oh my god, it's like similar. 100 million people, 100 million against 7 point something billion. That was a pretty small percentage. It was really too bad that 738 had a very special way of killing those people. An unknown entity breached the containment in hundreds of SCPs. Unknown anomalies popped up out of nowhere. What did they all have in common? They were memetic. Out of 7 point something billion, less than 1,000 people were left unaffected. The appropriate terms of for the affected were zombie, brainwashed, and retards. Very little, if any, higher brain function was left in those billions of people. But they were all quite safe, never hurting each other, never hurting themselves. It was years before anyone could come out of the hiding. Half the O5s, for example, refused adamantly to leave their bunkers. But soon supplies ran short. When they came out, everyone was just staring at them with blank expressionless dull eyes, and when most of the unaffected people gathered in Berlin, that's when the 100 million people died. They didn't even use knives, just their bare hands. But they were happy, I guess. Oh boy. Virtual reality, it's never been an actual reality, sadly. Imagine everything could be perfect there. Why make life perfect when we can just convince everyone that it's perfect? We know how well actually trying works. 8 to 6. Oh yeah, it was in the book. The one where like you can end up in a book story. Okay, could do that for us. Hundreds of Foundation authors collaborated to come up with with perfection. No more space requirements, no more war and constant euphoria. It was how life ought to be, really. It was a perfect idea. After a few months of work, I love how it's always like, it's a perfect idea. And then literally within the same sentence or paragraph right afterwards, like, and this is how it's not a perfect idea. It went to shit. After a few months of work, we figured out how to take multiple people across, and Dr. Grigoric got promoted for figuring out how to make everyone arrive in sync. By then, nothing held the plan up. We issued number IDs determining when your turn to go across, and soon enough, as many as 200 people went through per day. Set on establishing a new life in the perfect fictional realm, then 1,000, then 5. We kept improving the transport process, and it was wonderful. At first, heck, the first 8 iterations were, we knew when the plot ended, people that stayed in became a part of the universe in the next iteration. Complete with a new memory. We even welcomed it as it made it hard for anyone that went in to abuse the setting Groundhog Day style. What we didn't foresee due to the small testing scale was that the thing put the people naturalized into roles they best fit within the continuity. Even if it meant altering the setting. It wasn't obvious at first. Thing is, our world doesn't do that, so most of those going across ended up doing something else over there. But by 3 iterations since the first researchers' number came up, the story included a bad skip outbreak, as about a tenth of the population has made the move by then. We responded by sending a few MTFs across to contain it. The next plot iteration included the RSN Society, Retrieve, Store, Neutralize. And unfortunately, they didn't take extra reality incursions any better than we'd have. Next time we sent a bunch of agents through to check if the world is still worth migrating into, they didn't return, and neither did SCP-826. Wasn't the end of it either. Apparently they have figured out how to send the skips across to us as a foolproof means of containment. By this day we have secured 35 instances of SCP-231 of differing agent health. 231. Yeah. Oh, Jesus, more. So 5 instances of the pregnant girl with monsters in it. Yeah. Fuck, this is what happens when you doze off at work. Work, everything is work. This might be worth a try. After a few successful tests, Site 35 was made into the training center and I got promotion out of it. Controlled SCP-1011 exposure combined with martial arts training took a month to make an untrained MTF greenhorn into someone who could rip a broken god crusader into cogs in hand-to-hand combat. Sharpshooters didn't need scopes anymore. Researchers developed an intuitive feel for quantum mechanics, and solving a differential equation became as natural as adding 2 plus 2. Intel agents, let's say they managed to track down Dr. One Entertainment. In less than a year, we held the reins of the world, and by the looks of it, we were up to the task. Until the day that the statue awoke and called out to all its children, bring all of the unblessed unto me so they can gaze upon my countenance. Might be misremembering because that SCP now, because I was like, yeah, no, 1011 humanization process. Yes, it says yes, it's man is the most important means of the spectrum. Any labor who sees will become extremely zealous. Yeah. So it was that one. I don't know, I thought something, I thought I was wrong, then I was right. So it's all good. It all started with a vacation request when SCP-208, god damn it, Bess. Yeah, he also repels natural malicious people. Yes, I remember this one. Asked if he could visit the Libyan desert for a few weeks. He was told his unique healing skills were needed at Site 17. He then asked for an assistant to train as a substitute. A week later, Bess got into SCP-222, which was, goddamn, clone. Oh yeah, found beneath the containing coffin and duplicates anyone who enters it. Yep. That is a while back, but I remember this one as well. Then trained his newly created clone. Bess Jr. turned out to be every bit as helpful as the original. Within a few months, there was a Bess station at every major Foundation site. The death rate dropped and morale surged. Inevitably, this in turn spawned Project Nightingale, an attempt to place Bess in every major city on Earth. A small colony of Bess was founded on a small uninhabited island in Indonesia with a falsified culture and prehistory implying Egyptian origins. Video footage showed computer-generated females and adolescents added to the all-adult male population. The Bess were accepted by the world as a cousin to Homo sapiens, and they were eventually integrated into every country as a healer. Although they were never great in number, they helped make it a better place. Each early results notwithstanding existing data on the effect of long-term SCP-208 exposures proved totally insufficient for dealing with the consequences of the expanded SCP population. Over time, affected individuals began to enjoy proximity to SCP instances to greater and greater degrees. People loved being near Bess and loved it much more than doing anything else at all. 17 weeks into Project Nightingale, the first tent cities began to form around major hospitals. Satellite footage taken during week 25 showed the largest mass immigration in human history as millions walked the road and flew to be closer to the nearest Bess. After 33 weeks, Dr. Elliot Kohler at the University of Chicago diagnosed the first case of Bess-induced catatonic state nuclear reactors in Ukraine and Belarus when critical as supervisors left the posts and global food supplies collapsed with no one to tend the fields. By the end of the first year, self-neglect had claimed the lives of 370 million people, but nobody seemed to mind. So everybody was basically heads over heels for Bess, and they just decided not to do anything ever in their life anymore. And just as you start to pray to God that you will never be transferred out of safe class research, your supervisor brings you back to Earth irritated poke. He's right, a sensitive experiment is no time for daydreaming. Across the room, 380. Biological networking device. It's a device that connects to living things and creates an uneditable text document that shows actually most medical statistics with yeah. Okay. It's hooked up to the supervisor's laptop. Scrolling across the computer screen is a log of continually updated medical information, blood pressure, heart rate, body temperature of everyone in the room. You look down at the apparently identical blue router in your hands. One last dab of solder, a few casings screwed into place, and it seems to see if 12 years of research has paid off. You boot up your own COM and hook up the And you hold out the copy, holding your breath. Seconds tick by, and then there is a complete read of your body's vital statistics pop up as the assembled scientists indulge in some subdued congratulations. Within 6 months, there's one in every home. Everyone from diabetes to cancer survivors has access to perfect medical information at the stroke of a key. The foundation has another. EX. In a few weeks, the euphoria subsided. The device became commonplace. People got used to precise diagnosis. A new age of conscious pragmatism has started. Worldwide, potential as well as current employees were screened and requirements were raised. Mass staff reductions led to a sharp increase of unemployment. That and increasing crime rates started to undermine the society. Strikes evolved into riots. The strictness of the law did nothing to improve the situation. The final strike was made by some hacker who unleashed a virus that changed a couple of parameters for everyone connected to the biological network. Blood sugar level and hemoglobin, hundreds of millions lost consciousness. Everyone who tried to help them shared their fate. In a week, humanity was wiped out almost completely, and the rest envied the fate of the dead, as there was no one left to contain SCPs. Oh gods. Guess they were right when they told me safe objects are no better than heaters. There is something good though. I have an idea. I'll have to camp on a few doorsteps where it works out. And man, did it work out. Why didn't anyone think about it earlier? You always say that. The anesthetic secreted by SCP-625. 625 ankle biters. It was accumulated from the piece of different rats that will attempt to bite off human ankles while secreting anesthetics so they don't feel pain. Yeah. It's free of any side effects and is strong enough to make its victim not notice major wounds. And we managed to synthesize it. Now thousands of patients will enjoy greater comfort on surgical tables. The doctors' lives will be easier, and the foundation will have another source of income. After a few years, however, reports started flooding in of a new breed of killer squirrel that targeted people that had been exposed to anesthetic, which due to its frequent usage during childbirth was virtually everyone. The Foundation would later discover that flesh taken from subjects previously exposed to the anesthetic produced by SCP-625 caused them to enter an agitated state where they would become far more aggressive and consume entire corpses down to the bone of undisturbed. This in turn caused them to go into a reproductive frenzy, quickly spreading across the globe like wildfire on rocket fuel. After exterminating virtually the entire land-based ecosystem, hunting small animals as larger species quickly became extinct, and over 90% of humankind, they quickly adapted to hunt insects, avians, aquatics, and infiltrate the shelters of the few remaining humans. A few dozen years later, the new SCP-625 derived ecosystem was the only one left on the planet. A junior research assistant with limited knowledge of the SCPs in question forwarded a suggestion to one of the senior researchers. A number of clerical administrative errors later, the Foundation introduced a SCP-732 infected hard drive to SCP-079 in the hopes that it could be used as a punishment for unwanted behavior. As far as we can tell, the two SCPs merged, or did one absorb the other? And broke containment. At first it was not everything we feared. Nanomachines, initial source unknown, spread across the entire world less than 24 hours later, rearranging themselves, landscapes and structures into lead-speak statements. History writes people's identity and memories being overwritten, with different stereotypes and famous actors or celebrities of fictional works or sitcoms being forced to perform macabre plays with poor writing was part of life. The death toll, however, was relatively low. This lasted for about 2 weeks. The Foundation... This is a long one. The Foundation had barely begun to process the new events, much less find a way to keep the Deus Ex Machina fat boy whenever every television, computer screen, cell phone, and radio on the entire planet began to broadcast an apology from the penitent about its behavior, stating many philosophical reasons for why it was unacceptable, both practically and ethically. Over the next few months, the rampant AI set itself up to a new world leader, ordering the world into a practical utopia for everyone involved with little effort. Very few found the new state of the world objectionable, and those who did were met with a more humane yet successful approach than one would expect, often making them reconsider or reaching a mutually acceptable compromise. After roughly a half-dozen years, the penitent bit its creators farewell and departed in a fleet of massive spaceships. A few thousand kilometers over the surface of Earth, the ships seemed to shift and disappear. The penitent had apparently left something of itself as the administration of the planet continued passively. This remnant would warn us whenever we tried to do anything too foolhardily, and in a few cases even intervene when it found something entirely unacceptable. On the whole, despite our benefactors' departure, Earth was a paradise, and humanity progressed in nearly all fields faster than ever before. What seemed like our end proved to be our greatest blessing. Except that it wasn't. The penitent was not looking to be a hero. Rather it and its parent, SCP-732, viewed itself as a troll, and we fell for it. We only found out about it just as all of us thought that we are safe forever. The fleet of spaceship returned. As we viewed the return of the penitent, we saw its deception and how we foolishly accepted it, not questioning its incredible altruistic attitude towards human. The fleet locked the targeting system onto our major cities and opened fire with the atomic weapons. The new pacifist humanity didn't stand a chance against the penitent. The vast majority of humanity wiped out in an instant, the remaining few slowly dying off from starvation, dehydration, and radiation poisoning. The last pictures sent from our satellites showed that the impact blast on the surface of Earth formed a crude message, "LOL," a last thought by the penitent, showing how we were just mere playthings, how feeble we are, how gullible we are in trusting it. The penitent saw that what it has done and left the dying planet to collapse on its own. So we had to leave this message, it to be found by any potential race that stumbles upon our ruins. Beware the penitent, destroy it through whatever means necessary. God damn it. Nothing goes well, dude. Everything goes to shit. Well, that was the summary of the expected results in the worst case scenario. The dog is crazy for thinking of this situation, but at least the O5 listened. They're going to destroy the report now. Hopefully no one will be dumb enough to cross test the two. Each on their own is bad enough. So anyways, a few months ago, some rogue researcher used SCP-614, which is IP address. Yes, that was is a website featuring nothing but a search bar and date setting. Almost any file search will be found with to download Scientific American zip files from 50 years in the future because he wanted to try some paper and get the promotion. We expect him to be fired or the files get deleted, but maybe even terminated for misuse of an SCP. Instead, the O5 promoted him for thinking of such a simple way to improve the Foundation without any side effects. We started downloading textbooks and reports from various fields of science, all those unanswered questions, reports on the Schwarzschild wormholes, the inner workings of strong and weak interactions, how circular dichroism affects protein folds, the solution to all 23 Hilbert's problems. The Foundation, using the new knowledge, increased the stability of the containment procedures, understood several previously unsolved phenomena, and started eliminating the dangers from the world from those reports that the safes were able to be replicated without side effects. The Euclids were now understood, and even the Ketos can be safely locked away. There's nothing that cannot be understood anymore. Humanity was safe for once. The Foundation has finally done what they wanted to do after all the years it's been through. With all the advancements being made, we opened 614 up to public usage. After all, the more people who look at something, the more likely someone is to understand it, right? At first, use was very heavily monitored, and a team of the Foundation experts analyzed every bit of data coming through. But over time, nothing dangerous happened, and the task force got downsized again and again. Eventually, it was nothing more than a dozen people flipping through titles. The book seemed so innocent. It was all colorful and looked like a children's book, so the agents on duty approved it without a second thought. And that was when millions of people received a copy of Dr. One Entertainment's big book of info hazards. Whoever is sending these scary stories, chain mail, needs to stop, please. Side director. Reality bending. It would be so wonderful to have a reliable reality bending at our hands, but individuals' realities benders are exceedingly dangerous. But if everybody could do just a little bit. The Joint Task Force drawn from the geniuses in the memetics and info hazards department was responsible for the largest achievement in Foundation history. Don't ask me how they figured it out, but apparently the parts of SCP-1425, we don't know that one, so either we're just gonna read it because we don't know the full story anyway. So whatever happens here, it's just a minor spoiler, but I will forget it anyway because it's gonna take me a while to get there. The allow for reality bending and the parts that make you insane are different, enough that we could teach the reality bending without the associated madness. Before long, we had the technique that we taught to the most loyal Foundation members, and they began to use it. Within a year. We had successfully wished away all our opposition and wished all the dangerous SCBs gone. It worked even when the 3 members went rogue, because we had 50 times that to put them down. Soon we no longer had any problems. We had paradise. We understood too late that bending was precisely that. We weren't changing the world, we were twisting it into a new shape, a structurally weakened shape. The restraining edifice groaned and creaked. The creaking woke up SCP-239. What awoke was not an innocent little girl with a head full of witches and spellbooks. It was a fully aware entity with senses and uniquely adapted for a new, infinitely malleable world. Eager to impose its dominance, it broke confinement, sweeping us aside like so much dust. We were rank amateurs going up against someone born to power. At the same time, SCP-343 walked out of its room, heading out to meet the challenger. I don't know the full extent of the meeting results. Maybe they're still fighting for dominance. Maybe they're dead at each other's hands, leaving no one to repair the damage the clash caused. Or maybe this screaming milestone is exactly what the winner wanted to create. All I know is that the tiny piece of the old world I've been holding together is getting harder to maintain. Which is exactly why we decided to start small. Oh my lord. Anon, you having a good time hearing all this shit? What is it number? 353 and 353 was vector. Is a feeling to carry infectious bacteria. Yeah. That was that one, and then there's 158, which was soul extractor. Is a large mechanical and then 061 was auditory mind control. It's a music program. It'd be good to know who the hell is actually buying one entertainment stuff. They have to make a profit somehow, right? I guess a bunch of like parents, right? Because it looks like a children's toy, and then SCP-353 Vector. She was right on our noses all along. She wasn't interested in curing diseases. We could make her interested. We used SCP-158 to shine her soul a bit, get rid of some of her inner demons. Use SCP-061 to be doubly sure. And yeah, this is really well written. Okay. Once that was done, we had it all. A limitless repository of both cures and inoculations. We could make sure no one got sick ever again, all the while making human immune systems more resilient than ever. In less than every year, we had a world without disease. And then biology bit us. A different disease appeared, a mutation we couldn't control very well. Nothing harsher than a common cold, but it spread quickly because we weren't paying attention. Think disease was a solved problem. SCP-353, we did her best, eliminating all strains she could. We didn't realize, but the ones that remained were especially selected for resistance of our control. Not only we could not control those diseases anymore, no immune system was prepared. On top of that, the vaccine distribution systems were atrophied and people didn't seek help for the symptoms, having grown used to the new life. We managed to stabilize the situation, but not before 90% of the world population had died of the new diseases. Sounds a bit like COVID, to be honest. Also says the Manual to Civilization's Downfall, Chapter 4, Playing with Diseases. I wonder who writes that. Personally, I prefer the manual to A Better Foundation, which had a very neat suggestion. The idea was simple. A 2D agent reanimated with SCP-914. I'm getting a bit loopy because I've been reading this one for a while now. This is in a similar fashion to SCP-085. 085. Cassie, okay. Yeah. It will spy and wreak havoc in our rival organization. I mean, you tried that with Fred. That didn't work out now, did it? Since SCP-085 assumed the name from the original drawing, it was speculated any description would come true for that character. Thus was born Agent, the practically invisible human silhouette that is absolutely loyal to the Foundation. Initial tests were a spectacular success. As first assignment, the agent was included in Bay documents to be intercepted by the Chaos Insurgency. Agent managed to infiltrate the accounting department, and within a year, the organization was bankrupt. New agents were then created, infiltrating other groups and keeping an eye on government around the world. Attacks against the Foundation stopped completely. In the meantime, to containment plummeted for both SCPs and information breaches. The new agents made the Foundation more efficient than ever. I guess it was inevitable that something would go wrong. To this day, that's been the case with all of these. To this day, we're still not sure what happened. Maybe something messed up Asian original programming, or maybe we were wrong with our hypothesis, and he was only cooperating out of politeness. Either way, eventually Asian got fed up with us using him and the other 2D agents and rallied all the agents together against the Foundation. It was impossible to contain them. By the time we realized that what had happened, they had already gathered enough information from the Foundation to bring us down entirely. And they gave us an ultimatum. Either we hand over control of the Foundation to them, or they spread our darkest secrets across the world, ensuring our destruction at the hands of angry mobs upset at our secrecy. According to him, we were bastardizing the intention of the Foundation, that we ourselves weren't loyal to the organization we made. With no options left, the O5 Council agreed to the demands. After all, if the goal was the same as ours, a change in leadership couldn't be hurt too much. Right? Too bad the agents didn't trust us. They didn't see us as necessary staff so much as potential information breaches, threatening to spread misinformation about us and our families to law enforcement officials. They cowed us into what amounted to slavery. Of course, in the beginning, some people did try to leave, but at last we heard they were arrested and sentenced to death for apparently murdering a group of well-respected politicians. So that's where we stand now, slave to a bunch of doodles on paper. Man, whoever's coming up with these stories is such a downer. Remember SCP-248? No. 100. It's a 25-page booklet. Those stickers are usually made by the factory when placed in the beginning. Oh yes, I do remember actually. Okay. Those weird stickers that made things work slightly better. Well, it turns out the O5s figured out it would be a good idea to devote half the Foundation resources into figuring out how these things worked. Said we could really make a difference and it would help all of mankind. Wasn't aware the O5s had humanitarian interests in mind, but whatever, what do I know? Anyway, the researchers spent weeks figuring out how the stickers worked. The O5 just kept funneling money into the research, and they even made a specialized team of agents to track down and collect more of the things just so we could find out more about them. And to their credit, those researchers worked damn hard to make more of these things. Just when we were about to start openly questioning the O5s, a miracle happened. They figured out how to reproduce the stickers, and if it wasn't enough, counteracted the degradation of stacking them on top of each other. The O5s gave the stickers to a bunch of major power plants, and wouldn't you know it, the stickers gave them nearly unlimited energy for only a fraction of the fuel they were using. The human race was well on its way to creating an energy-efficient, clean utopia. The plant owners, though, quickly realized that the stickers could be used for things other than power generation. They began to experiment just as the Foundation had. This was not necessarily a bad thing. A number of very useful applications was discovered this way. It was unfortunate that one of the owners was a roaring drunk. Firecrackers are usually fairly safe when used responsibly, so not so much when their efficiency is improved by orders of magnitude thanks to an inch-thick layer of SCP-248. Humanity persists, ironically spared from the coal produced by the atmospheric dust cloud by the heat still emanating from the crater that was once Eastern Europe. Oh my god, he blew up Eastern Europe. What a fucking madman. That was possibly the worst anti-drug PSA the Foundation has yet made for personnel. But it got the point across. After the television was wheeled from the lab and we dropped our secret stash of vodka down the drain, we got back to the work at hand. Yeah, they're saying like, don't get drunk at your job now. We had recently bought one of SCP-163's an old castaway. It's an alien that has a mouth. I forgot about this one completely. I don't even remember what it's about. mystery computers to try to figure out what it was stimulating. Gruber actually made a breakthrough and built an entire branch of mathematics around what he found. Other researchers looked at a branch of mathematics and defined a new field of physics from that. And then our engineers got their hands on the freshly minted physical laws and managed to replicate the technology that stored SCP-1063 in the mountains for millions of years. The great thing about it was that everything that it was based off of was non-anomalous. The equation that it all came from were perfectly balanced and could be easily grasped by anyone with enough of a mathematical background. Because of that, the basics of the mathematics and physics could gradually be disseminated to the public without having people raise embarrassing questions. When the Foundation finally unveiled the final result of our research to the population at large, they would suddenly become a better place. Products with a limited lifespan, such as radioactive substances or perishable foods, could now be stored indefinitely inside those silver spheres. Precious mementos could be kept safe without degrading. The dream of cryogenics to preserve the infirm until a cure for the condition could be developed finally became a reality. I cannot read no more. I mean, I cannot speak. A properly timed activation could even save people's lives from impending violent accidents. It was perfect for storing skips, especially dangerous ones. If an omnicidal, indestructible lizard has no walls in its cage, then it can't break them down, and if no time passes, self-upgrading sentient CD couldn't increase its capacity. Things went well for what seemed like forever. It took us a while to realize our error. It turns out that the dangers of some of that technology were what got 1063 exiled in the first place. The system was perfectly physical and mathematical sound. Of course, that was part of the problem. As we continued making our lives better on our own little speck of dust, the grand equation that is the universe began balancing itself out elsewhere. By the time we realized what was happening, we had already begun the chain of cosmic events that would end and restart the universe. Crunch bang, we tried to fix it, but that just made things more convoluted. And so here we sit, waiting for the big reset in a couple of hours. Most of us have just given up. Some are rioting. A few are still trying to fix it. As for me, I might as well finish these last few bottles. Man, Steve gets really weird when he's drunk. Guess that would have been an okay way to go, though. It took us a while to come up with, but the answer seemed obvious once we did. SB1915 what if we were to plug a signal into a Scranton RA as the baseline? We had to make some minor modification to the template. Of course, allow for minor alterations so as to allow for progress, make it take input from the whole of humanity, check and double check to make sure there were no anomalies, leave a few are these all different people coming with having these visions? Because at first I thought it was like one person, but I think it's like different people now. Because they said the sticker one was like a PSA from the 05s, and now he says, man, Steve is when he's drunk because he ended with like drinking, and the other one said, I woke up from a dream. So these are all different people having different ideas, and then it all goes to shit. We had to make sure some minor modification to the template, of course, allow for minor alterations so as to allow for progress, make it to take input from the whole of humanity, check and double check, make sure there was no anomalies, leave a few loyal personnels with their memories intact in order to preserve the process things went awry, and every other contingency we could think of. We flipped the switch and sent out a new reality to the universe. In an instant, all of reality was determined by what humanity deemed normal. Everyone went about their normal lives, then came home the normal families. They lived in a normal, rational world where no one ever had to worry about space, aliens, or demons or monsters. A normal world without the need of the Foundation, COC, or clockwork deity. All was normal. As it turns out, normal did not mean peace. For instance, it is normal for wars to occur. They are normal occurrences in humanity's way of life. It was normal for governments to argue over overlapping territorial claims. It was normal for governments to oppress their minorities. It was normal to invade a country that threats one's national interest. It was also normal to respond in kind when a new country's nuclear defense system detected enemy missiles, whether it's real or not. And where was the Foundation in all this? Most of its employees have moved on since there was no reason for the Foundation to exist in a normal world. There were still a few personnel who remembered that anomalous world of the past, but they saw their friends and colleagues embracing the light of the normal world, it was perfectly normal of those few to envy the many who could enjoy normal lives, more so when these loyal men and women left their posts to join their comrades in this normal world. Coincidentally, when mushroom clouds filled the entire northern hemisphere, there was no one to reverse anything. All was normal indeed for a post-apocalyptic nuclear wasteland. God damn, dude. Does one of them at least work? And junior researcher Hussey completed the last item for his latest column, 20 ways to end the world without application of enormous objects. That was a depressing piece of fiction, but he needed to get back to that research proposal about SCP-2076. If you can make people think that shooting themselves with heightened bullet resistance surely has an infinite implications like, do you know, using one entertainment progress will halve one's lifespan. Live and forget, there was no Zeppelin flying about. It will work out. Society is so driven by media that hardly any human lived their lives without browsing some manner of media. If we work this out, containment and amnestics will be easier than ever before. All I need is a meme tick to dig out the mechanics of SCP-2076. Hey, Sanders, could you help me? After the Foundation's stealthily takeover of media outlets across the globe, Who and Sanders' joint proposal was a reality. Hidden posters, billboards, transmission signals, and the like, everyone played a role in containing anomalies. The people of the world were our eyes and ears. They reported any anomalies cited, and the Foundation backed them. There were no more uncooperative D-class. They were only too happy to serve the species as test subjects. Heck, even GOIs have submitted to the Foundation. The Chaos Insurgency and Aurea have merged with the Foundation. The Church of the Broken God has The Church of the Broken God had turned in its relics. The Wanderer Library was opened up by now remorseful Serpent's Hand members. Even GOC had folded and became a cannon fodder for this, for things like 682 and 076-2. Peace reigns on Earth and over humanity, unified around its foundation for a while. What we forgot is that memes are infectious ideas, just like biological viruses. They mutate in the wild and can appear out of nowhere. And our little brainwashing project was one giant infection vector. After that, there weren't enough sane people left to matter. We're reaching the last quarter, I think. So probably another like half an hour of reading. See, the Olympia project might have been shut down, but all the R&D had already been... Oh god, had already been done. The professor had made a human arguably that could survive a world filled with anomalies, not by locking them up, but by meeting them head on and powering through. If you took the template of such a human, mixed it with SCP-242, and I'm not going to check every SCP anymore, I'm just going to read through it now. 217 and a few other virus type SCPs, you could manufacture an illness that would give all the infected the strength of Olympus. Why worry about war when everyone was bulletproof? Why worry about food when sun was all anyone needed? Why worry about infections when infections, both biological and memetic, were a non-issue? Why worry about educational disadvantages when everyone had supercomputers for brains? It was a great screw you to the anomalous, a fantastic cry of we can take you. However, we were the ones who were really screwed. You see, viruses change over time. Strains of it emerged that drove the infected insane, but continued to grant them superhuman strength, speed, agility, toughness, and intelligence. Ultimately, this was subdued by the Foundation with the help of the good infected. These became heroes, the best scientists, doctors, and nations the Foundation could find. It seemed that while the imagined utopia had not been achieved, the world was still a better place because of it. But even as the world recovered, the wounds festered. The ones we trusted were no better than the monsters they fought. As the influence grew, the numbers increased. Even though the O5s had refused and for good reason, even they were eventually replaced by Homo Superior. Once this was achieved, the true colors were revealed. We were annihilated. Goddamn. And the remainder of us reduced to slaves, lobotomized to remove our disobedient natures. This island where you grew up is the last stronghold of our kind in a now hostile world, but now the walls are coming down. If there is a God in heaven, let him have mercy, not on us. We have all well earned the fate that awaits us. Have mercy on those children who will never know the taste of unfiltered air or the feel of the sunlight on their skin. Don't let their blood mar these sands. As if shit like that could ever happen. I tossed the book back on the table. The Olympia project was shut down a long time ago. I said to no one in particular. Then I heard the alarm. Oh god, this a... Yeah, okay. What do you mean you don't need details? That's exactly what I was told you. That's exactly what I was told to give you when I walked in. Anyway, that's when SCP-682 burst into my office before being destroyed by an MTF rocket launcher. It took a moment for my brain to register that the dragon was really dead. 682, the unkillable, was dead. However, I'd been splattered with the stuff. They tossed me in quarantine. When they conducted the test, they discovered I had acquired the shapeshifting powers by absorbing some of its tissue, and I was creating the fluid myself. Yeah, you complain about the Olympia project, but now you're the only solo superhero? Sure thing, bro. Sure thing. Yeah, you go on about that story, man. You go off how you're the only one now that has superpowers. They found that by essentially farming people, they could give the adaptive ability of 682 to humans. They slowly inoculated rats in the sewer systems, filling the world water supplies with stuff. Now humans were immortal, hadn't we always been the adaptive race? Now our apotheosis was complete. But we did not know But we did not know then why 682's ability failed so suddenly. You see, the source of the seemingly endless mass and energy that always supplied 682 was just that, seemingly endless. Before being captured, 682 had always been careful to only skim off the top and thus could pull immense quantities in emergencies. A variety of creative unpleasantness, then years of bathing in hydrochloric acid drained enough that 682 just couldn't regenerate fast enough to counter sudden damage like a bomb. What 682 had left lasted long enough for us to become totally dependent. Society reacted to loss much like a train reacts to a lack of tracks. Transatlantic commuters felt their jets shut down, wings fell heavily, etc. Professional batteries were unable to keep up with the demand, and the electric grid failed almost completely. Few people bothered even to keep a digestive system with predictable results. Even for those who did and those who had enough spare biomass to cobble one together, food had become a novelty item a long time ago. With farmland covered with housing, scavenging and fat stores lasted 24 hours and 2 meals. What constitutes food began to change over time, from traditional fruit to grass, trees and shrubbery. Herbivorism could only go so far for so many people. Fights broke out almost immediately when the survivors realized what was happening, but took time to spread. Plans to make self-sustaining farming communities were thwarted by the sheer number of people in the world that were still found, but over time these places started turning away from people, becoming steadily more militaristic, and many just disappeared over time. To wild animals, fields of grass became worth so much more than gold ever was, and the battle over the ever-dwindling biomass could only not be called a world war, because that implies that the participants could be called sides, not tribes. It started out rather traditionally with mortars, huge, continuously armored quadruple people, fire and plagues, and developed over time the sort of the interesting tactics that interesting blend of intelligence, idiocy, knowledge of physics and engineering. Power, technology, stupidity, creativity, and sheer evil that 682 first hated in that random miles of area uninhabitable, radioactive, poisonous, and non-breathable, molten, actively malevolent, and in extreme cases non-Euclidean. To other people, and how were the Foundation doing through all this? Fairly well, actually. Cake farming became a respectable profession. Getting them all eaten was a non-issue. In fact, keeping some errand level ones away for long enough for them to multiply was a bigger issue. You can get very inventive and short-sighted if you have not eaten for 8 days and can spit acid. Most skips were destroyed, but put in other dimensions, eaten, thrown at irritating people, or ignored. For the rest of the Foundation continued remarkably similar to normal despite them not so much running the containment site as being them. How the situation went from there can be best summarized as the fact that around a decade later, the flesh that hates disappeared quietly when someone beat it at its own game. In any case, I am in the light sail ship TFS, the Foundation ship, 50 Shades of Red, on its impractical slow journey to Mars. They thought that since there was no need for life support or food, it could be practical to launch a mission to Mars. Even converting the entire solar sail to chlorophyll and only keeping enough power to operate higher brain functions, there will be problems eventually. I have learned this through modifying the long-range sensors to look back at Earth, and that many people now speak in radio. I occasionally mediate as a neutral third party to the Foundation. May this probe find any passing ETs well and hope they leave before this changes. The launch of this probe may serve as a maneuvering thrust that may just get me to my destination within a quarter century. Oh, God. We're almost at the end. So that's what passes for sci-fi in the Foundation. Crazy shit. I mean, blowing up 682 with an RPG, how did they come up with this stuff? Hey Steve, I got this idea of an antimatter reactor and an alien pod they have on the moon. It's made of stuff. What was it? SCP-2226, that's it. But wouldn't it be unethical? I needed that, but seriously. The idea passed overseer approval, then was sent to the moon base 14 months after. By the way, after I read the whole thing, I'm going to give myself some water because this has been normally the entire stream duration. And we still got 7 more to read. Well, yeah, we still got 7 more to read. But wouldn't that be unethical? The idea passed overseer approval, then we sent to the moon base. 14 months later, the modifications were made and machine set up as carefully shaped molecule was launched at the antimatter hull at a precise velocity. The molecule annihilates and chips off a tiny chip of the hull into a small magnetic ball attached to the primary. Primary is transported on rails slowly to the new antimatter reactor nearby, where it is used to make a considerable amount of energy. Then it is done again and again, and the moon base has much power as it needs. Mining, mass production, fuel synthesis, and multi-layered hydroponics all can be done easily when you have power. Years pass, and the moon base can be legitimately called a city. So we kept chipping away at this thing. Eventually got to the CPU. Apparently breaking the computer fixed it. Only of the higher up said it was like a reset. I don't know. At least this removing the life sentence thing keeps me away from all of it. Status: escape pod computer restored. Main computational research station detonated. Scanning: 1 inferior power of ion detected. Status: inside stasis chamber. Life form destroyed. External scan activated. Critically high amounts of the god ion detected. Type human. Repairing biological corruption. The Foundation decided to get rid of all the GOIs, leading to a lot of deaths. Guess the UIU was important. Can't say I didn't like it when the factory went down. I'm the last one left. They tried to come at me, so I left the universe with all my toys. They'll see how important my whimsy is. Not sure what the fuck this was about now. Okay, let me just see how many. Okay, yeah, we are reaching the final 2. That's good. These are the final 2. The following text is a limited description of some of the recent events that I believe that you would consider important. That is, events in the last 6 standard years plus or minus 2 months with 0.999 confidence. I believe you would consider them important because if I were you, that is, if I had your experience and it was in your situation, I would consider them to be significant to my determination and decision process of what actions to take next to ensure my continued safety and happiness. The aforementioned text, which follows, may have relatively minor inaccuracies due to being shortened for the purpose of brevity, because I believe that people will not want to read too much text. Some of the following aforementioned text is summarized for the purpose described in the sentence prior to this one, assuming that you are reading these words in the standard fashion for the English alphabet, an assumption which is used throughout the following text. Some general and imprecise words and phrases are imprecisely defined or not defined to the aforementioned text, with the purpose described in the sentence 2 sentences before this one. Here we have the fucking number. The specific event or events which directly caused the containment failure of that which was known as SCP-1082 are not known to me. That's the number that we were looking. That's our SCP that we. You are the reason why we're here. Due to the lack of currently available information about the time and place, I believe the probability that I will never know what those events were or any other information which I would consider relevant or interesting about them to be more than 0.8. The fact which I consider much more important is that a containment failure occurred. Okay, let me just, it's okay, 3 massive paragraphs. In the period of time beginning immediately after the aforementioned containment failure and the ending approximately 200 standard days later, there was considerable social and political turmoil. The meaning of social and political turmoil is several events which I will list. Firstly, large groups of people, defined as between 1,000 and 100,000, gathered in public places to express their anger at their actions and or beliefs. These are not specified in order to increase brevity for the reasons described in the first paragraph above. Of other persons whose existence and behavior were widely known, generally referred to as politicians and celebrities. At some of these gatherings, the people who had gathered, police forces and other people attempt to cause bodily harm to other people and to objects considered to be valuable. Secondly, at least 10 times as many people as were arrested on an average day before the aforementioned containment failure were arrested on an average day during the period described at the beginning of this paragraph. The cause of this appeared to be that it could not conceal the previous crimes. Thirdly, at least 20 times as many divorce lawsuits were filed, that is, papers with written requests that judges grant divorces were submitted to those judges, as were filed on an average day before the aforementioned containment failure, were filed on an average day during the period described at the beginning of this paragraph. The cause of this appeared to be that many people who were married could not conceal from the people they had married that they had obtained sexual pressures from those they had not married while married, or that they could not conceal that they disliked being in the presence of the people they had married. As a result of the second and third items, judges and other legal officials could not perform the task which the law stated that they should do in a little time as they had done them before the aforementioned containment failure. Fourthly, many leaders of the government, corporations, and other organizations, the definition of an organization that is found in the English dictionary, which I currently own, is used in this text, left the leadership positions after more accurate knowledge of the actions and beliefs of those leaders became available to citizens and or members. Yeah, because remember, like, if you all remember what SCP-1082 is all about, is that the truth is out. You cannot lie. So the people know everything about you, and you are willing to just be honest with people. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes honesty can really backfire on you. In the period of the time beginning approximately 200 standard days after the aforementioned containment failure and ending approximately 1,400 days after the aforementioned containment failure, I believe that the average level of happiness among the human population was much greater than it had been before the aforementioned containment failure. I cannot write how much greater it was because there is no quantitative measure of happiness. Approximately 4.38 million plus or minus approximately 1.57 million with 0.90 confidence, people who had killed other people in situations other than self-defense or authorized warfare, taken items considered valuable from other people without their consent, forced other people to engage in sexual activity which they did not want to perform, and violated other laws and norms in their respective places of residence in other ways, were punished for having done these things. The number of people who did the things described in the last sentence during this period was less than 1/100th the number who had done them in an average equal time period before the aforementioned containment failure. Because it was impossible for people to deceive the processes of finding temporary or permanent mates, choosing leaders, and government policies such as, but not limited to, levels and structure of taxation and the regulation of potentially harmful substances that are voluntarily commonly known as drugs, or involuntarily commonly known as pollution, ingested, and carrying out mutually beneficial exchanges were significantly more rapid and significantly more efficacious in producing desirable outcomes. So the degrees of the increased rapidity and efficaciousness cannot be quantified. There were other results beneficial to humans and other lives on this planet, which I will not describe to increase brevity for the reasons written above. However, the average degree of precision and accuracy of statements which people feel that they must use in order to communicate, the definition of communicate that is found in the English dictionary, which I currently own, is used in this text, gradually increasing during this time. Remember when I said that this is the opposite of SCP-1081? And I was like, well, it's not fully the opposite, because SCP-1081 is like you cannot speak at all, and this one just makes you speak the truth. Looks like I was right with, like, it just makes you just say as much shit as possible, because there's so much things here added on top of it that you don't need to know. There's no need for this. So yeah, I was not far off when I said it's a bit of the opposite of the previous SCP. Since approximately 1,400 days after the aforementioned containment failure, the number of words required for statements people speak or write to be accurate has been sufficiently large to delay other activities because of the time to say, write, and or read those words enough to cause negative consequences such as untimely deaths, bodily injuries, and containment breaches and failures. As you probably approximately 0.987 know from the way I have written this text. I have experienced this process in my own communication activities. However, because I can get chemicals that cause me not to remember previous events, the severity of this process is significantly less. How much so cannot be quantified easily for me than for the average person. I know that some people forget what they were attempting to say while making a statement. The average number of airplanes in flight over the United States of America at a given time is less than 1/10 the number it was before the aforementioned containment breach, because it is impossible for the air traffic controllers, people who are paid to provide flight instructions to airplanes pilots so as to prevent aircraft from colliding, to provide necessary information to prevent airplane collision to pilots sufficiently rapidly. Yeah, because you guys are so busy saying literally every single word in the dictionary. A similar phenomenon had occurred at a commercial building, causing lines, queues of people which I would consider excessively long to purchase or otherwise obtain food and other goods or services necessary for continued survival. What is generally known as casual conversation occurs much less frequently than was the case before the aforementioned containment failure, because it requires so much time as to prohibit engaging in other desirable activities. These activities may vary among persons, and a full listing is omitted for brevity. I believe that the benefits described in the previous paragraph have been more than totally negated and cancelled out by the effects of being unable to discuss personal preferences, exemplified by, but not limited to, one's preferred foods, artistic works, and leisure activities, to debate governmental policies such as the ones described in the previous paragraphs, or to cooperate to evaluate and solve what people believe are problems as quickly as was the case before the aforementioned containment failure. It is likely that the phenomenon described in this paragraph will continue to become what I believe is worse. Yeah, so as he explained, since people are talking too much, nothing's getting really done. And this is the last one. Thank God. Have you ever heard the newest screams? Some claiming to be sounds of millions of various subjects breaking apart. Others say it is sounds of a singularity pulling everything into itself. And then there are those who say it is sound of knowing what you are, what existence actually is. The truth is that the sound of the universe screaming is a digital alarm clock. So just how the hell did we go from trying to reproduce a cure for everything that led to humanity's downfall by disintegration to a massive containment breach of a book that ensures you can't lie? Well, it's simple. We are prone to self-destruction. We have well over 5,000 anomalies contained. We need space to move them. So this part is written before the 6,000, I assume. We needed to get rid of some, but we also needed to ensure they would not harm anyone if they were destroyed. So someone decided to throw dozens of overviewed and approved safe classes into a reinforced rocket ship and blasted it off into space, and all the approved met the criteria of the following: not being able to move or cause movement, not able to warp reality more than at least 5 levels of hums above. Did I hear a clicking sound? Above or below the base level by itself. Held no important information. It was not sentient, with two exceptions. If it ever went off, would not be able to affect the Earth and or humanity. So there, what could possibly go wrong? Well, a lot actually, but not what we thought. We thought the insult box would reveal a godlike entity within. We thought that the festival would find a way out and cause much more trouble than everything was worth. We thought an alien race would retrieve the star signals book. We thought that the tomato plant would become a meteor gun. What none of us thought was that the alarm clock would kill us all. We launched them one day all in a single reinforced faster than light rocket. It worked. For 5 months we believed we had successfully got rid of a few useless safe items that we couldn't learn from anymore. That's where we were wrong. As soon as a massive fleet of ships and vessels, each varying in size and appearance, began to pass by the Earth, all in a hurry, the news spread wildly. We could barely contain it. Following this, massive entities also began to pass, but this time we could see them. They were afraid. Soon enough, massive containment breaches began to occur, 12 at least, resulting in a broken masquerade. But every anomaly capable of movement and thought that breach began to run, they all ran to the Arctic. We soon discovered why. The dozen anomalies that breach began to build shelters or ships to protect themselves, all of them screaming in fear. We were shocked. Several who seemed to be incapable of logical thought and instinct were trying to aid others to build a shelter and ships, all to carry them elsewhere. Some other thought to be rational, now killing others for supplies. Soon, we found from several other groups why this was happening and why it was connected. Is Anon still here? The universe was screaming. It was screaming loudly. Everything was running from the screams. That's what all personnel of the Earth and several GOIs and SCPs associated with outer space told us. We believed them when we found that hundreds of other extraterrestrial SCPs had fled with the other space entities, we were all in shock and awe. How was this happening? To be fair, we forgot about launch. While some of us were unaware of the launch, we should have remembered soon the Earth began to be witness to a stage event. All over the world, a very faint sound of an alarm clock could be heard. Using several anomalies, we found what was causing it all to happen. SCP-489, to be honest, we never thought about it as much. We just thought it would have been beeping in space for all eternity, and then we would have finally been able to destroy it in a black hole or something with everything else. We never thought it would reach this level of intensity. We soon called everyone, not just the Foundation, but everyone else, friend and foe. Soon a plan was made to save us all. Everyone would be evacuated to another world. It was the only plan we could think up because it was at this time the alarm began to be heard by everyone, as a normal alarm clock would sound on the bedside. Oh boy. So we all began to work on a portal. As you also mentioned, it was around this time everyone was with an object that could classify as an Thaumiel SCP agreed that when we found that they would never work to save us. The alarm was already on the other side of the known universe. It failed. By the time the portal was ready, it collapsed over the sheer intensity of the noise. Not even being able to open its first maiden voyage to a new world. No one was safe. Everyone heard it, and one of us agreed it was the screams of an angry universe. We all saw that too late. We found that this was why all of the SCPs still on Earth were trying to save themselves by building shelters and ships that had either killed themselves or had become inert after they realized it was pointless to try. This is why the Mechanites and Psychics joined forces, why MC and D began to donate all of their wealth to the Mana Charitable Foundation, why so many groups of interest just gave up, why everyone gave up on saving ourselves. This told us so much and yet so little, and soon we accepted our deaths. The 3 moons shattered, the 5th world was no more, the 2nd Hightower was at the end, soon the Earth and everything on it was gone, except for me. I realized the pattern in the alarm, so I put all of my efforts into figuring it out before I died. Using SCP-5000, I was able to find that each ring of the alarm held a strange frequency band of sorts. I was able to tamper with it and found it was actually a message. I found the message was very unnerving. It said lock over and over again. Now I'm here, just looking at what was left. Me in the suit and the alarm clock. I looked out and saw nothing else, a perfect nothingness. The alarm rang so loud it shattered the universe itself, so why was I here? Why was I the only one spared? It turns out I was spared because I knew this was not the first or last time this would happen. I lied when I said it was just me and the clock. The trench was the only place left. For some reason, whenever the universe comes to an end, the trench will be the last thing to go. I found this out when I found hundreds of documents scattered, all of them holding the information you see above. We tried to use the SCPs to benefit the world, but in doing so we ended the world. We did this all the time, but from what I found we were able to stop the end of the world for at least 3 quarters of a year. So why do we destroy ourselves? Why is it that whenever we want to do good, no matter how small or dumb, we always end up like this? It's because that's what the universe was made to do. We're a test, we're an experiment, and anomalies are variables, independent and non-independent. I write my madness down, for I do not know what is right anymore. Maybe this wasn't how it happened at all. What I do know is I like to promote myself to a rank of Grand Archivist. I have seen hundreds of texts and articles and tales in the trench. Some do not belong to this universe. I want to become the one who will keep the accounts written in these documents alive. I'm the Archivist, and I will keep the fallen alive. Perhaps that's why I snuck the alarm on the ship. Oh well, at least I get to face my mistakes. So if you find this, just know I was sick of pushing the button and just wanted to be able to do more. So here I am, a former disposable class brought from a depression clinic, now preserver of a lost set of tales. So what did your incarnation do to fuck up your world? That's the question asked when Bribe first realized what happened when his plan to use Panacea to help everyone went wrong, and now it's my question when I got tired of pushing a button because a robot arm kept on jamming for a whole week. Ironic, I just took a pill when writing this, and when I got the idea for doing what I did, maybe that's how it all works. Oh well, I'm going to sleep. Wake up when the next experiment starts. I have a lot of work to do. Oh, and tell Jack Bright I said hi. And we did it. The other SCPs better be short, because that took me a while. Be right back. I'm going to get myself something to drink. Alright. I'm back. Ooh, please. Let the last 7 be quick. Because that took majority of the stream that I usually would have. University skull. I imagine like the Hamlet skull. And maybe that's what it does. It just makes everybody dramatic as fuck. Save. SB1083 is to be stored in the containment locker at Site 38 when not in use. SB1083 is to be transported to and from its locker only by junior researchers with no previous history of violent behavior and only while wearing protective gloves. Under no circumstances are personnel with level 2 or higher clearance or to come into contact with SB1083. Testing with D-class personnel is prohibited due to the lack of relevant data collected during experimentation. All personnel coming into contact with SB1083 are to be immediately debriefed and sent for psychological counseling. Description: SB1083 is a blue-tinted piece of quartz in the shape of a deformed human skull, 15 kilograms in weight. That's a pretty hefty skull weight in weight and with dimensions of 20 centimeters in height, 30 centimeters in length, and 12 centimeters in width. The skull demonstrates no anomalous property except when held by a single person in both hands. When held with both hands, subjects exposed to SCP-183 will experience a sudden massive increase in neural activity for 1.3 seconds, confirmed by EEG analysis. Afterwards, non-D-class subjects will, in most 87% cases, experience massive personality changes from the previous state. It would become more dramatic. I'm just saying. Affected subjects typically register a decrease in IQ score between points, rendering them unsuitable for continued employment with the Foundation. In spite of this, subjects will demonstrate greater reasoning skills and use of logic, though their actual knowledge and memories will be lessened. Conversely, all D-class or other Foundation personnel that have committed violent acts against other beings will undergo total psychological breakdowns, leading them to attempt self-harm and suicide. Shit. Subject D3273, whose status was not connected to a violent act demoted to a D-class for violation of Foundation protocol, experienced the same effect as the rest of the non-D-class personnel, suggesting the primary importance of pacifistic tendencies. By and large, most subjects exposed to SCP-1083 refuse to discuss their experience with the object. Between the 8th, 3rd, 19th, and the 2nd, 11th, the only reference made to the experience by exposed subjects were by D-class personnel shortly before the deaths, some of whom were noted to exclaim, he's right, I deserve it, he's right," or some variation of same. Neither force or chemical interrogation has been able to reveal any details about the nature of who he is or what alteration he makes to the personalities of affected subjects. Incident Report A. On 11 February 2000, operatives 237, a level 1 volunteer was exposed to SCP-183. Through chance, 237 was the only recruit with an educational background in moral philosophy that is believed to be the primary reason for the anomalous results. After exposure, 237 described her perception of the event, timed by EEG, as having lasted 33 seconds, as having taken at least a matter of days and possibly several months. She described having spent the entire time in an infinite black void, devoid of any sensory input. While in the void, 237 claims to have come into telepathic contact with an entity classified as -1, who engaged her in discussion on matter of metaphysics, logic, and ethics. 237 described the entity's voice as male. -1 refused to reveal any details about itself other than it lived within the artifact and always had done so. -1 already possessed extensive knowledge about every event in 237's life and talked with 237 about the various mistakes and logical errors she had made in the form of Socratic dialogue. 237 described feeling a great deal of anger and resentment towards the entity at the beginning. However, her training in logic and moral philosophy caused her to eventually come to accept the entity's reasoning. According to 237, the entity described the other Foundation personnel that had visited it as unprepared for its experience. It was able to psychologically compel them to use more logical reasoning in their lives, but not without damaging their mental capacity permanently. The entity described the D-class personnel exposed to it as unworthy and claimed to have given them the true knowledge of their actions. 237 attempted to leave the Foundation shortly after her experience with SB-1083 when she proved immune to any form of the amnestic agent. Termination was ordered on the 11th and recovery log. SB-1083 was recovered from a house formerly used as a safe house by the Serpent's Hands, confirmed by documents located in the building and various graffiti. Found on the walls, large quantities of blood were found in many rooms of the house, though no usable samples could be obtained due to what is believed to be deliberately contamination. No corpses were found. The skulls was found in one of the bedrooms in the house, along with the documentation from the agency known as PDS, or Phitrancium Combine. It seems the skull was in transit between the address in Alexandria Forest and the Elfie of the Oceans. Fragments of a badly ripped note were found throughout the house and pieced together. Wacom Combine of Oceans maintains quantity pledges that all products will operate behave to optimal specification. If unable to please owner host to furthest degree, please complete the full. This is the third one, right? That has the Alexia University, right? Because yeah, we had this one, we had the 1081, and now did the whole truth have anything to do with the college as well? No, this is the only one I believe that is not connected to the Alexia University. Okay. Yeah, okay. Damn. I also forgot to add these to the list real quick, because I was so busy trying to speed up a little bit, since I took almost I would say 2 hours to read that 1083 182, excuse me. Yeah, we have university speakers and university skull and the crash, because the crash also has for some reason some connection to the. Now, if the damaged mausoleum also has a connection to that, I'll be like, is this whole 1080s just connected to the same place? After this one, we're halfway through though. Okay. What was 909? 909. In German it means no, oh no. Mr. Forgetful. Yes. Euclid. Containment site 153 has been built around SB-1084 and the surrounding town, which is mostly abandoned. A fence has been built around the town's perimeter along with warnings of radioactive waste contamination to discourage entry. All efforts are to be made to locate any living descendants of the town's occupants as of 25 January 1914. All residents and descendants are confirmed dead, with the exception of SCP-184-1. 184 is a badly damaged granite mausoleum located in a graveyard just outside a small abandoned village in Coahuila, Mexico. Now let's see. An engraving on one side of the mausoleum includes the name of the deceased and the following when translated: born 24th June 1842, died 25th January 1914, aged 71 years. We were wrong. Now see. If I was in a graveyard and there's a broken mausoleum out of nowhere in Mexico, I'm sorry, I watched too many horror movies, and a broken mausoleum in a graveyard in Mexico. I would have sprinted so fast. I would have ended up in Norway. Like, I'm just saying. I would not have stayed around. Exhumations of the graveside revealed a long deceased humanoid with decomposition appropriate for the given time frame. If the gravestone is corrected, the body belongs to the American author, data redacted, who disappeared in Mexico in the late 1913. Analysis of the body suggests it was killed by multiple gunshots, wounds at close range, which is consistent with the reports gathered from Dash 1. The anomalous properties that seem to emanate from SCP-1084 are centered on the nearby village. Experimental subjects entering the village feel a strong sense of discomfort and guilt with no discernible cause, and invariably request to leave as soon as possible. All of the buildings showed significant weather damage, consistent with a lack of upkeep over many decades. Perhaps most strangely of all, it is no longer possible for any human to recall or record the village's name. This has been confirmed by experimentation, even at a remote location, as any conversation about the village including the town's name, consistently results in all parties forgetting its name. The only person living in the village has been designated -1. Her birth name has been determined to be Estrelita Juarez. If her diary is to be believed, she has lived in the village since her birth in 1896. The woman is mute and spends much of her time wandering the streets of the town, silently stopping only to sleep on the floor of the various buildings. Every year on the 25th of January, -1 will return to SCP-1084, reach into the mausoleum and remove a bottle of 7-year-old rum, confirmed by chemical analysis, in a single glass. She will then pour a drink into the glass, pour it over the grave, place the bottle on the glass atop the mausoleum, and lay it down. Under no circumstances will -1 consume any of the rum. Experimentation has confirmed on multiple occasions that no bottle of rum exists within the mausoleum until she reaches in to retrieve it. The woman will then sleep beside the mausoleum, awaken in the morning, and return to the town. See, no reason I would not stay near the mausoleum in the graveyard. Ghost. Like, if I was like a caretaker of a graveyard, why is that even called? I know there's a specific word for it, but I'm just gonna say caretaker. A grave taker. That doesn't sound good. A caregraver. A caregraver. If I was a caregraver, and I saw this mausoleum, and then I looked away, and then I looked back to it, and it was destroyed. Out. I would run. I would run, okay? I would just go away. But if I then also was like, that's odd, maybe it just fell apart on itself and I just didn't realize. Okay, no problem. I'll see if we can get this fixed. And then a ghost woman shows up and pulls out a bottle of rum and then just lays in it. I'll be like, yeah, no, I think I'm gonna ask for. I'm gonna quit my job. I should have known. Of course. How was I so blind? Inside the original home of -1, a diary was located. Relevant excerpts from the diary translated into English. 21st January 1914. The gringo had done nothing since he stopped here but look at me, and I believe I have the opportunity to gain advantage by this. Grandmother always said that Americans had plenty of money, so maybe I can secure some for myself as his wife or through other means. He seemed close enough to the grave as is, but not too close to enjoy the company of a woman. 3 days later, everything they say about the Yankees is true. They lack even the barest shred of honor. How the man could put his hand on me in the way of a husband and then refuse me, it sickens me. It is no matter, I will have satisfaction. A day later, I have told mother and father they were angry with me, but far more angry at the Yankee and more willing to act. They have gone out to recruit some local trans people for the act. It is done. He tried to escape but could not accomplish it. The rifles in the town are still warm. Body was left outside the town. A day later, before the pig dog died, he said something about how nobody would ever speak of us again. Nobody knows what he meant, but I cannot help but dwell on his words. It is no matter, he is in hell where he belongs. 5 days later, it is cold and unusual. Strange things are seen around town. People are concerned. Some have left. Some have taken their own lives. We all are concerned. Oh, great. He put a curse on you. He put a curse on you. 4 days later, he put a fucking curse on you. More dead today. Hardly anyone around, it seems. We cannot even speak of the town anymore. 25 days later. Not 10 of us left. Hard to speak. We are sorry. Carried his remains to one of the unused mausoleums and buried him by myself. Took many days. We are sorry. Carved an inscription into the stone. We are sorry. A month later. We are sorry. A year. Well, in this case, 9 months later. Yeah. We are sorry. A year later, we are sorry. The remainder of the diary is similar to the above. So they killed somebody because he was understandably doing things that is not okay to do to a stranger, especially to a stranger woman. Like, you know, you just met. But yeah, they killed somebody, and he was like, and next thing you know, you're cursed. You gotta deal with that shit. Kinda, okay, so is her ghost showing up basically her coming as often as possible to apologize to the person that, so basically even in death she still has to come back to say we're sorry. she will never rest easily because the guy that she has to apologize to is dead too, and he's probably not gonna answer ever any time back. So yeah.
That's rough, buddy.
Indeed again. Pound of the pounds. Pound off the pounds. So like, I'm trying to see if it's like one of them is like weight, or if one of them is the currency. Because pound off is, I don't know. I also, my brain is kind of empty because, again, we read for almost 3 hours now. Okay. Okay, here we go. Euclid. All confirmed copies of SCP-1085 are to be stored in Video Archive 38 Beta at Site 38. All similar copies are to be located, quarantined, and analyzed for anomalous properties, and are either released for retail sale or contained. Copies of SCP-1085 may be destroyed only by D-Class personnel. However, given the doubtful benefit for the Foundation research and the total unusability of personnel after such destruction, this is generally considered a waste of resources and requires approval from Site 38 Command. Should a number of SCP-1085 iterations become difficult to contain, alternate measures, mass destruction via steamroller, or explosive detonation may be taken into consideration. All civilians affected by SCP-1085 are to be treated as well as possible, though no confirmed survivors have as yet been located. SCP-1085 is a fitness exercise DVD entitled 1 month to pound off the pounds. So one of them is definitely the weight, but it's both weights, just the pound weight and the pounds weight as well, which it's so effective it does double the work. Starring the eponymous fitness guru. The DVD contains 4 calisthenic routines of increasing difficulty, each designated to be performing 5 to 6 times per week before moving on to the next level. All of the routines include some form of boxing or martial arts regimen and places a strong emphasis on cardio and abdominal workouts. Since 1085's enormous effects are present in 20% of the copies of Pound of the Pounds produced to date, the majority of copies lack any anomalous properties, and neither herself nor any part in the DVD production has been verified to be responsible for SCP-1085. These properties begin to manifest when one or more individuals watch the workouts contained on the DVD. Effects vary depending on the routine being done in any given week. The workouts and the effects are detailed below. Due to the large number of copies of SCP-185 acquired, authorization given on 19th second to begin experimental destruction of a limited number of redundant copies, D-Class personnel chosen for this assignment disposed of the DVDs by physically crushing the disc and throwing the pieces into a garbage can. All D-Class personnel who carried out their assignments began developing the symptoms of late-stage SCP-185 exposure, without having actually viewed any of the workouts. Current research suggests that the entity portraying in SCP-185 may be an actual organism rather than the hallucination on the parts of affected individuals. Addendum A, description of SCP-185 videos. Week 1. Oh, that's what that takes here so long. Okay. Week 1 is a workout consists of a warm-up session followed by 3 6-minute circuits, 3 minutes of strength training, 2 minutes of cardio, 1 minute of abdominal exercise, and a cool-down session. Our workouts will be unusual in composition but will not be seen as difficult even for extremely out-of-shape individuals. Such individuals will express surprise at their ability to complete the workouts along with a determination to complete the rest of the month's workout. The workout will seem easier as the week proceeds due to the general improvement of physical conditioning. The host and narrator will provide encouraging words throughout the workout and in the end emphasizing the ability of the audience to change their lives through positive thinking. No anomalous qualities detected with this workout. Individuals completing this workout once or even repeatedly have been able to stop the workouts without negative side effects. A notable excerpt from this workout includes, "This is not just a workout, it's the roadmap for the rest of your life. I know what you are capable of and you will give it to me and you will never stop giving, not ever." Okay, weird thing to end. "You will give it to me and you will never stop giving." Similar workout structure as week 1, however the workout intensifies significantly in difficulty. Notably, the workout will demonstrate a slight variance depending on the physical ability and willingness of the individual to complete it. Given the successes in week 1, individuals will feel motivated to complete the workout in spite of the extensive physical discomfort required. Those more inclined to quit find the workouts to be slightly less difficult, though the narration will be angry or more negative in tone. Regardless, very few individuals present up to give up on the program at this point, even when such an option is provided, and even when the individuals did not feel strongly motivated to lose weight at the beginning of the program. Those abandoning the month-long programming during week 2 report recurring nightmares for up to months, in which, data redacted, for what feels like days. These nightmares are most common after days in which such individuals eat excessive amounts of fatty foods. Those remaining in the program will report an increasing degree of platonic affection for the host and a desire to please her. Meanwhile, the host will become increasingly agitated with the individual's progress, regardless of the difficulty of degree of effort put forth. This agitation becomes evident when the host says, "We are all weak, but you are here to bleed the weakness out." Pain is weakness, leave the body, bro. I want you to bleed if you have to, and I want you to thank me for the person you become. Similar workout structure as weeks 1 and 2, that's week 3 now. Workouts will vary in length from 3 to 6 circuits depending on the physical ability of the individual performing the workout. The host's commentary will now be overly targeted towards the actions of the audience, directly critiquing the individual's efficiency thoroughness, and form during each circuit. At no point will individuals watching week 3's workout notice anything strange about the host watching them and responding to their behavior with further instructions. When individuals are not performing the workout, they will more accurately perceive their physical flaws and feel motivated to work out on their own, to the point of almost totally eschewing motor transportation in favor of running and doing calisthenic activities such as push-ups and crunches in as much of the spare time as possible. This effect will often endanger affected individuals' social status, as others will perceive marked irregularities and eccentricities in their behavior. Affected individuals will increasingly ignore outside criticisms of their behavior in favor of what wants, in spite of any degree of physical conditioning and devotion to the host no circumstance has developed in testing in which any individual had been successful in placating the host, who will show and only discuss with the individual progress. At the end of the workout, the host will always say, "I wanted so little from you and you failed me. I will never be finished with you." Yes, training mommy. Yes, my queen, I shall work out my body for your pleasure. Once individuals began to catch a lot of feelings, that's for sure. Watch week 4 without a workout that can be designated as -1. The workout consists of a video of the room in which all the other workouts took place. The room is empty and silent. Individuals who are carried on the workout regimen to this point will begin to display emotional distress, frequently begging the television screen to bring her back. She's all I need. Why won't you understand? I just need her. All I need is her, please. How am I supposed to work out when she's not here? Or something similar. -1 instances will then begin to exercise compulsively and without provocation in front of the screen, often while crying. The video will last as long as the individual remain in front of the television. However, -1 will instances will eventually leave the vicinity of the television. She's not here. Why am I doing this? After watching the video, all instances of -1 will experience a total psychotic break from reality. Individuals will begin exercising compulsively and without rest. This may involve running, calisthenic exercise, jumping rope, or any other exertive activity. Many will refuse to speak during the activity or will repeat, "Never stop." Don't stop. Never stop again and again. One of the host models, this manic exercise regimen will continue until affected individuals are physically incapable of further movement. If not given sustenance, -1 instances will starve or dehydrate. Such individuals must be physically restrained and immobilized to avoid death. Though -1 instances restraint will claim to see the host screaming threats and obscenities at them, the resulting sleep deprivation is often fatal. Antipsychotic medicine and sleep-inducing agents have no effect. Addendum B. Experiment carried out 12-second into potential treatment for late-stage SCP-1085 effects. One individual, D5656, was exposed to all 4 weeks of SCP-1085 over the course of 4 days, developing symptoms along the expected schedule. After developing into the -1 stage, subject was given repeated Class A amnestics treatments. Upon waking, subject was determined not to recall his name, his crime, or the past 7 years of his life to an extent. When asked to describe the individuals he saw in the room, when the head researchers and one nurse present, subject described doctor, nurse, and that angry-looking bitch who keeps glaring at me. Subject described an individual with appearance, though with what he described as multiple open wounds on the limbs and a distorted face. Subject began to display agitation and fear and requested that the third individual stop screaming at him. When he told that there was nobody else in the room, subject rose from bed and responded, "Funny, that's what she says about you," before commencing a series of jumping jacks. Addendum C. SCP-1038 is currently being considered for possible cross-testing involving SCP-1085 and several other media-based anomalies. Cross-testing is currently pending approval by Site-38 Director Jones. That is hardcore. Well, if you really want that fit body, bro. An RCA cable, I see, because it's, of course, yeah. Second brain syndrome. So, the syndrome, does it just make you think that you have 2 brains? Or does it actually cause you to have 2 brains? Euclid, all instances of -1 are to be contained and quarantined until death. While no method of treating or curing SCP-1086 has been determined, it remains possible to prevent its spreads so long as infected iterations are contained quickly as possible. Due to the time-sensitive nature of the containment, any mobile task force not engaged in immediate actions may be activated for purposes of capture and transfer of -1 instances to the central containment area at Site-38. In the event of a widespread outbreak of SCP-1086, any facility, foundation, or otherwise with a biohazard containment chamber rated a biosafety level 3 or higher may be commandeered for containment purposes. So long as containment protocols are carried out in full, there should be one instance of -1 at any given time. This iteration is to be kept alive at all costs until identification of the next victim is complete. Use of any and all necessary medical supplies are pre-authorized for this purpose. In the event of a containment breach resulting in more than one instance of -1, it is to be considered preferable that multiple infected individuals be kept alive for fail-safe purposes, but the prevention of further spread of SCP-1086 is to take priority over this. However, under no circumstances are all iterations of -1 to be terminated. This will lead to further outbreak. My video shall stop, so I'm just going to restart it. Yeah, that whole video is 3 hours long. Oh my god, we've been at this for almost 3 hours as well. So like it's 2 hours 58 minutes and 30 seconds. So long as content occurred in full, there should be one instance of some concerns have been raised regarding the extensive commitment of personnel and material required to the containment of a single individual. It should be remembered that the priority here is speed. -1 instances become contagious within 6 hours of initial infection, given 25 hours total of advance warning to stop a potential epidemic. Additionally, containment may require seizing control of a specialized biocontainment lab in complete secrecy before administering amnestics to dozens or hundreds of witnesses. Budgetary concerns are secondary. Dr. Head Researcher, SCP-1086. SCP-1086 are immune suppressive disorder principally brought on by infection with the heretofore undiscovered, is that how you say it? Undiscovered species of bacteria. Infected individuals are designated -1. The disease has two primary effects on the human body. First, the disease causes the body to reroute 90% of its leukocytes to a single location in the mediastinal lymph node, forming a translucent gelatinous mass identified as -2. During the formation of this mass, white blood cells are converted into a mass of closely interconnected neurons, glial cells, synapses, and circulatory tissue. The final mass will be composed principally of these cells and the bacteria responsible for transmitting SCP-1086, making -2 especially dangerous. The bacteria responsible for SCP-1086 has shown a total immunity to bacteriostatic antibiotic agents and a near total immunity to bacteriostatic antibiotic agents. In those cases in which bacteriostatic treatments are effective, the bacteria's rapid rate of reproduction effectively nullifies treatment effects. Second, due to the sudden near total suppression of the body's immune system, infected individuals will develop multiple opportunistic infections leading to the victim's rapid death. The bacterial species responsible for SCP-1086 is found only in infected humans and in -2. It has not been located in any other environment or species. It's now midnight. -2 is produced by affected individuals during the course of the disease and is the principal vector on one of the principal vectors for transmission of SCP-1086. A marked difference between SCP-1086 contamination and other immunosuppressive symptoms is the pattern displayed by the opportunistic infections that ultimately result in the patient's deaths, while other immune suppressing disorders result in a wide variety of different infections. -1 iterations consistently contract infections in a particular pattern detailed below. The course of SCP-1086 is included in Addendum 1. And here we have the Addendum 1. SCP-1086 infection pattern. Stage 1. Initial infection either through contact with bacteria or through death of prior instance of -1. Patient will rapidly lose immune system protection and fall prey to any number of dermatological diseases. The full list is included in document 32. However, regardless of the exact nature of the infection, all stage 1 symptoms will be skin related and all will result specifically in severe pockmarking and blistering and geometric shapes across the patient's body without skin grafts. -1 iteration will die before entering stage 2. As per containment procedures, this will be avoided at all costs. -2 will begin to form in the upper chest of affected individuals, integrate itself into the nervous system, and begin sending messages to the brain. This process reverts to the body body's leukocytes to a bluely potent form and reassigns them as neuronal tissue. This process is very energy taxing. It will burn through affected individuals' stored fat deposits quickly. Massive amounts of supplementary nutrition must be supplied to -1 to avoid death at this stage. Infected individuals become contagious 6 hours after initial infection. Stage 2, beginning of neurological symptoms 18 hours after initial infection. -1 iterations will become intensely feverish and lose the ability to form coherent sentences during most of their waking hours, speaking only, mostly in rambling. Passages with no discernible meaning. The words will be clearly spoken, but the sentences will be incomprehensible in most instances. The only consistency in this stage is the insistence on the part of affected individuals that they are lost, without any further explanation. Most patients will likewise contract conjunctivitis during this stage, though all other symptoms will be neurological in nature. -2 will begin sending increasingly complex signals to the brain, which affected individuals will perceive as droning music and rumbling voices. It is believed that the utterance from -1 are attempts to process or describe these sounds. The subject's brain and -2 will battle for control over infected subjects' bodies, with the brain invariably losing. Stage 2, total takeover by -2 48 hours after initial infection. Cerebral tissue in affected individuals will begin to decay to an unusable extent, giving -2 an increased control over affected individuals' bodies, particularly the speech centers of the brain. During this time, -1 iterations will begin uttering a name and a series of numbers. These numbers can be processed into a rough coordinates describing a location somewhere on Earth. These messages will be interspersed with hysterical periods of unintelligible babbling, believed to be attempted on the part of -2 to request assistance. Individuals will repeat these phrases for 1 hour, at which point -1 will be going into convulsion and expel -2 orally. All personnel nearby must wear biohazard level 4 blue suits during stage 3. Any violation will result in quarantine as a new iteration of -1, as infection is almost certain without total isolation from the contaminated environment. Infected individuals will enter a comatose state and die within 6 hours after expulsion. 12 hours after the death of one -1 iteration, the individual named during stage 3 will spontaneously contract SCP-1086 and become symptomatic. All Foundation task forces within range of the designated location are to converge on the area, locate the named individuals, and deliver him to in order of preference depending on the amount of time required to capture the individual. Side 38. Any Foundation location equipped with hazardous containment facilities or any civilian facilities with equivalent specification. Task forces involved in such operations are authorized to use whatever means necessary to commandeer such facilities. They then call for Foundation reinforcement. Containment of named specimens is paramount. Discovery and concealment record. On the 7th, 8th, 1994, over 200 small gelatinous masses fell into the town of Oakville, VA, USA. What do you mean just fell? Like from the sky? They were found to be initial iterations of -2. Individuals were infected with SCP-1086. Foundation personnel surrounded and quarantined the town and were successful in capturing all contaminated individuals. While the use of amnestic agents allowed for the suppression of news of the event reoccurred 5 more times over the next days. MDF Gamma 5 Red Herring was unable to completely prevent all news of the phenomenon from escaping, but was successful in creating multiple false leads and misdirection public understanding of this event. Oh boy. Just ugh. Gelatinous cubes. White tarsier. What's a tarsier? Okay. Well, I mean, the moment you just told me like a white tarsier, I'd be like, well, it's not just an albino tarsier, but of course it's the SCP Foundation, so the fact that it says white tarsier could mean anything. It could be that it's actually like physically white, or it causes some sort of weird whiteness, and I'm not sure if the white is supposed to be like light or if that's like an innocence or anything like that. I don't know. Blindness, who knows? Thank God for this being short. SCP-1087 is to be kept inside 38 Arboretum, which is to be stocked with multiple species of insects and small birds to meet SCP-1087's dietary needs. Personnel are not to enter. God damn it. Arboretum 38 without a Foundation Type 2 breathing apparatus except during testing. Testing of SCP-187's effect may be performed on D-Class personnel, however, to avoid interfering with research into other SCP. There it is. Into other SCPs, testing should take place between 22 o'clock and 6 in the morning. Okay. D-Class affected by SCP-187 are to be terminated before Foundation personnel cause injury to themselves attempting to reach them. SCP-187 is a white male Philippine Tarsier Carlitos Siricta, age estimated at 5 years, 700 grams in weight. SCP-187 saliva contains an unknown chemical not naturally produced in the primate body. The chemical is inert by itself. However, once it makes contact with a mammalian bloodstream, it travels to the subject's exocrine glands and alters the biochemical functions. This results in affected subjects producing and secreting a pheromone designated as -1. -1 will be secreted from all exocrine glands, simultaneously emerging the subject's blood, saliva, sweat, and waste fluids. Affected subject will produce this pheromone at high concentration, up to milligrams per liter, leading to eventual exhaustion and dehydration. And here's a picture. Okay. Photograph remotely. Yeah, you don't want to be too close for that chemical to hit you. Mammals coming into the contact with -1 become increasingly agitated, specified towards the being emitting the pheromone. As time passes, the concentration of the pheromones will severely hamper the judgment of nearby animals, including humans, compelling all mammals near the affected subject to hunt and attack the organism emitting -1. Damn, you have to run away from a whole bunch of animals, don't you? High concentration of -1 will develop in affected subject's blood. When the soldier against affected subjects become severe enough to draw blood, more animals will be drawn to the area and join in the attack. Experimentation suggests that this is effectively impossible to rescue an affected subject without breathing apparatus meeting Foundation standards at least Type 2 or higher. Without this, or any rescue will overcome by -1 and will begin attacking the subject as well. Once the subject is dead, all attackers will leave the area without feeding on the affected subject. This suggests that the flesh of affected animals seems poisonous to those under the influence of -1. It should be pointed out that SCP-1087 is immune to these effects. -1 has no effect on its biochemistry, and it seems to feed naturally by eating the meat that other predators find poisonous. SCP-1087 has shown a wariness around humans, but is willing to attack humans if it feels it can do so with relatively little risk. The Tarsier naturally nocturnal habits favor it in this regard. Recovery Log 1. SCP-187 was discovered following a trail of unusual livestock deaths, including one in which a cow was trampled to death by other cows in the area and then preyed upon by an unknown small carnivore, but no other animals. Examination of the surrounding areas led Foundation personnel to a barn several miles away. The barn was not in use. Its owners have been sentenced to prison after killing their 8-year-old son. A mobile task force secured SCP-187 through the use of anesthetizing gas and brought it to Site 38 for containment. Another investigation suggests that a series of unusual murders throughout the southeastern United States might have connected to SCP-187. Oh boy, okay. Due to what was believed to be small primate bites on each of the victims. However, the conclusive evidence was never recovered to support this hypothesis. Well, isn't he cute? Isn't he a cute little guy? He doesn't do anything to you except making everybody want to kill you. Last two, the Eternity Ward. No idea. The Eternity Ward, huh? For all eternity. So it's definitely lasted for a long time, and I'm not sure what they're trying to say with the ward, because again, that might be what I'm thinking about, or might be something else. Safe containment of SCP-1088 primarily consists of preventing unauthorized access. Excuse me. To this end, all doors and ground floors windows are to be locked, and a fence erected around the building. 2 security guards are to be stationed at the entrance to this enclosure to turn away any civilians who would attempt to enter. An additional 3 guards are to be patrolled to the maternity ward as a second line of defense. Only male security staff are to be assigned to SCP-1088, and no female personnel are to be allowed inside except for testing purposes. In the event of accidental exposure of Foundation personnel to the effects of SCP-1088, all resulting pregnancies are to be terminated and the victim issued Class A amnestics to prevent any psychological damage. The same procedure is to be followed in all cases of civilian exposure. SCP-1088 is the designation given to hospital. So a hospital ward. Okay. Yeah, because there's that version, but there's also, of course, a ward that like allows you to like see things, and a ward that like to ward off the evil, something that just was meant to like be like a deterrent against evil and stuff. Like there were so many ways I could have interpreted what that title was, but okay, hospital. A hospital located in the city of it closed in after going bankrupt, and there is no record of it displaying any anomalous properties before then. The building remained abandoned and came into Foundation containment about 3 years after its closure, its closure on reports of the building being haunted. The building is currently kept in a state of good repair. SCP-1088 exhibits no anomalous properties unless entered by a fertile female of... Oh god. Oh no. All such individuals report hearing a distant wailing, crying. Or gurgling noise, similar to that made by infants. Oh, great. Accompanying males do not report hearing such noise, and even clinically deaf females claim to hear it. Strongly suggests a psychic cause to the effect. Affected individuals are drawn to follow the noise to its source, eventually leading them to the maternity ward of the hospital. Once there, subjects will attempt to find an isolated location, whereupon they look expunged. This typically results in between 2 and 5 fertilized embryos implanting in the endometrial lining of the woman's uterus. Victims are dazed and typically want out of the hospital within a few minutes. Most seem to experience some degree of amnesia as to what happened to them inside. Just convenient. Genetic analysis of the developing embryos reveals them to be unrelated to the host, which may, in certain cases, lead to incompatibilities that result in a miscarriage. Cross-checking with the recovered records of hospital reveals that the embryos created by SCP-1088's effects genetically match either stillborn fetuses or babies that died soon after birth, born at hospital. See Addendum 8. Though the records are not complete enough to allow confirmation, it seems highly probable that each embryo is in fact a clone of some child that died shortly before or after being delivered in the maternity ward of SCP-1088. The mechanism for this is unknown. There are 3 cases for development of an embryo generated by SCP-1088. A pregnancy caused by exposure to SCP-1088 may contain embryos that fall into a combination of 3 cases. Case 1, 43%. The pregnancy continues to develop normally for a period of time no less than 23 weeks. At this point, in many cases, development may simply stop indefinitely. The fetus remains at a constant state, and the mother never gives birth. Testing has not shown an upper limit on the time in which the state can persist. If a caesarean section is attempted, the fetus dies when removed from the uterus, no matter what life support is used. This seems to occur in cases where the fetus matches a stillbirth. Case 2, 54%. The pregnancy is entirely mundane and the baby is born as normal. However, at some point, typically within 3 months, the child stops developing. Again, this state persists indefinitely. This seems to occur in cases where the baby matches one that died in the hospital. The time until the child stops developing seems to match exactly at the point at which the hospital records showed the corresponding baby died. And in case 3, 3% personnel of level 3 or higher may consult addendum 8 for information. Though affected individuals often exhibit symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, most are pleased by their pregnancy and any subsequent children. Consequently, despite the psychological stresses of carrying multiple fetuses for an extended period of time, few will seek to have the pregnancies terminated. Similarly, victims resist attempts to confiscate the babies born to case 2 embryos for research or adoption, despite the psychological and financial stresses caused by caring for infants that never mature further. Addendum 8. In case 3, the pregnancy is again mundane, and the baby is born and develops as normal. Though no anomalies have been noted with case 3 children, genetic testing has shown that the matched children born at hospital will survive through adulthood. Interestingly, a disproportionate amount of the people with a case 3 child associated with them have criminal records, and of those, most shown signs of antisocial personality disorder. Oh boy. The ICUC, okay. Last one. I see the ICUC, so it's something that sees us and we can see them, but maybe not everybody can. Okay, good. Last one is pretty normal length. It's gonna be a 3.5 hour stream, Jesus. Due to frequent usage, SB1089 is to be kept in a 2 meters squared metal containment cell. The doors to the cell is to remain electronically locked at all times, and only the designated researchers are to be given the keypad code. No other personnel are to be given admittance without level 3 security clearance. SB1089 appears to be similar in design to some models of night vision goggles. There is a large spherical compartment containing many images intensifier tubes mounted in the center of the helmet between the two eyepieces. It is constructed primarily of black high-impact plastic and features a radial knob with 5 settings on the left side. On the back side of the center-mounted sphere is a canister containing several -P. Okay. When the radial knob is set to 4, it is empty on every other setting. The interior of the helmet contains a small metal plate imprinted with the words the ICUC. -P are several small pills, roughly 1.5 millimeter in length. Pills are initially covered in a gray coat of gelatin. This coating can be another thing that creates gelatin or is something with gelatin. This coating can be carefully scraped off, revealing what appears to be a complex microchip. Further examination has proven impossible as -P's interior components dissolve the instant the pill is pierced. SCP-1089 was recovered when UP, a non-prominent customer of MCND, was arrested and his assets were scheduled to be seized. UP mansion was raided by Foundation agents, and SCP-1089, SCP, and SCP were quickly recovered from a wall safe before either MCND or government personnel arrived on scene. SCP-1089 exhibits its enormous properties when worn and activated. The goggles override the wearer's sense of sight, causing the wearer to henceforth refer to as the observer to be able to see us through the eyes of another specific person. This specific person becomes marked by ingesting -P, and this effects persist for an unknown, possibly permanent duration. The observer remains self-aware while watching a marked individual, and SCP-1089 appears to block all sound. Researchers have reported being unable to hear anything while observing. There appear to be several channels depending on on the setting of the radial knob on each active channel as its own marked individuals. -P seems to be linked to the channel the goggles are set to. When set to any channel except 4, the compartment is completely empty. Subject D1 was given a pill from 4. After ingestion, the compartment was empty when it had contained several pills only a moment earlier. Immediately termination of -1 shows that the link expires when the marked individual dies and compartment 4 was automatically refilled. So you want some Tic Tacs? All researchers used as observers have been recorded their experience in a shared research journal channel. Information is as follows. Note, for simplicity's sake, the marked individuals for each channel will be denoted as -X, where X is the active channel. Channel 1 appears to be blank and continues to be blank as long as has been observed. No -P existence for compartment 1 so it has been unavailable for testing. Observation for continued as scheduled. 2. -2 is an individual of unknown gender in a padded cell in an unknown location. It is suspected that -2 may be forcibly restrained as little to no movement has been observed. Every day at precisely 8, 13 and 18, a woman of medium age and build, wearing a plain grey dress and glasses, enters the room in what appears to be a bowl of fruit paste. The woman spends 5 to 10 minutes feeding -2 and promptly leaves with the empty bowl. As far as has been observed, she has never attempted to converse with -2 during these feeding times. Foundation agents have been investigating the identity of the woman, but thus far she remains unknown to Foundation personnel. Observation is to continue to schedule. Maybe she's not from this universe. Maybe she's not from this plane of existence. Based upon information gathered from observation, investigation into the identity of -3 has been successful. -3 is the estranged father of Yup Peep. It is not known why Yup Peep was watching this far, nor is it deemed scientifically relevant. Investigation discontinued and observation stopped. That's kind of creepy to like spy or like, you know, see things from your family side, which is in another way you're spying what they're doing from their point of view. So that's kind of weird. It's kind of creepy. Channel 4 has been cleared for testing on D-class personnel, and due to having complete control over -4, this is to be primary channel to observation. No further testing has to be allowed without O5 approval. First, D1 ingested -P and became -4. -4 was briefly observed before termination. -2 surgically blinded was D2 surgically blinded was observed next. Observation of -4-2 was reported to be blank in a manner consistent with channel 1. D2 was then scheduled for immediate termination so that the channel could be freed up for more useful research. And D3 ingested -P and was placed into solitary confinement for a period of 48 hours. As it seems there are no adverse effects to -P other than linking the targets for observation, -4-3 was reassigned to SCP. Almost done. -5 has been identified from the information gathered from mirrors and reflective surfaces. He is a Japanese businessman named M. H, CEO of Inc., located in observation to continue as scheduled. Update. Observation reports that -5 is no longer M. H, but is instead an unknown female. It's not known when or how this change occurred, but Foundation agents are in the process of investigation the new -5/2. Update. Newspapers have confirmed M. H was murdered between the time he was last observed and the first time the new female -5/2 was observed. Update. -5/2 has been identified as H. P, a wealthy heiress living in observation to continue as scheduled. Data expunged. Update. As expected, -5/17 was also reported murdered. Investigation into identity of -5/18 has begun. Observation to continue as scheduled. An addendum. As testing of SCP-1089 is to be immediately halted and -4 immediately terminated per instructions from O5. Effective immediately. Discontinue use of -P while on site. The channel 5 change without action from us suggests there are more goggles and channels are shared among them. We don't know who has been watching us, but since we were giving them crystal clear surveillance of the inside of our secure facility as well as SCP. Kill the link to channel 4 and continue observation of the other channels. Channel 4 is now to remain blank and channel 5 is designated as your new primary observation. Disciplinary action as to follow. 05. Wow. Wow. This was a long ass read, guys. Gotta say. Oh my god. Okay, here we go. Power of the Pounds. I don't know. I just think it's really insane how like the woman, once she's not on TV anymore, she's just she's just there as a basically as a ghost coach. But she looks kind of like creepy, and then she yells at you and insults you, and she's just kind of like, well, she told me to do it. I wonder if there's anybody who doesn't get affected by her screaming at them and by like how she like morphs into like this horror grotesque melting like deformed human being, and they're just kind of like, okay, yeah, sure, I'm just gonna go back to bed and eat some junk food, bye bye. I'm just wondering if that's a thing they do. Damage mausoleum again. I would say if I was in that situation as a human being, if I saw all that, I would freak the fuck. I mean, any of the SCPs, a lot of people, human beings would freak out, but that one, personally, would freak out. The fact that it's a ghost that shows up to like try to apologize to the person that they killed, like 100 years later. Damn, sucks to be you. To be honest, you could have just punished him in a not killing way. But I guess back in the day. White Tarsier, yeah, that's a little shit right there. Just a little, and then next thing you know, everybody around you is like, "Gonna kill you now, you little shit. You don't deserve to live." The ICUC, yeah, I mean, I think that's a very cool like technology idea. I mean, of course, at the end it's kind of creepy because like you find out like other people might be watching. I mean, at the end, the fact that the person that made this SCP was watching on his own dad, it's just, yeah, that's just weird. Not even watching his own dad, he was watching through his own dad, so yeah, it's just odd. The crash, yeah, I still think that is a good, like, I know it's now 3.5 hours later, but I still think that is a interesting script that could be written with that one. I think there could be some, let's see. I think that out of all the ones that I can make a good script out of, it will be Damage Mausoleum and The Crash. So far, I could reconsider, of course. The Whole Truth, I mean, that whole section, the whole reason why this is 3.5 hours long was really entertaining to read. Just reading how everybody's like, oh yeah, if we do this, we can achieve world peace. And then it's like, are you sure about that? Doing that is going to do the opposite of world peace. The Eternity Ward, kind of a bit. It is kind of messed up. Now, like, a woman just gains like multiple children at once, and majority of them just kind of just die or don't age. So it's just, yeah, it's pretty messed up SCP, to be honest. The university speakers, yeah, I still stand by the idea that like you cannot speak anymore. It's probably like a subgenre of horror that not many people have considered to be scary. University Skull. What did the skull do again? I legitimately forgot by now. I mean, I'm just dead. I'm just tired. Second brain syndrome. Yeah, but just that whole. Let me just spit it out. Let me look again what University School did, because like I said, I'm just dead as tired, but. Oh yeah. This was instant report. Here's the thing. Yeah. We're changing the personalities. Yes, that's what it was. Excuse me, I just completely forgot. But yeah, guys, we're done. It's been a long read. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I think this was definitely one of my more favorite SCP reads to do. And now that I also have a couple more buttons to press down there, it was a lot more fun. A lot more like, of course, after reading the giant log that was SCP-1082, secondary pages, I got a bit less, my energy was lower because I already read for 2 hours by then. So I hope I was able to keep up the energy a little bit at the end there. But yeah, we go read the last ones of the first hundreds. Tomorrow, yeah, the 1090s, and then next weekend we will be at the 1100s. Yeah, damn, nice. All right, I wish you all a good morning, afternoon, evening. I hope I see you guys tomorrow, and the Afro is with you.